I'm David Scandura.
I'm Justus Burkitt.
And today we're here to find out, is The Iron Giant the greatest movie ever made?
What you currently have in your mouth is art!
Welcome to The Greatest Movie Ever Made, the show where we watch a movie and tell you if it's the greatest movie ever made.
Atomic Holocaust.
A movie that is so thoroughly entertaining and compelling that while you're watching it, it's the only thing that matters in the world or your small town in coastal Maine.
Yes, Rockwell, Maine.
Besieged by the Red Menace and an alien threat.
Yeah, but mostly besieged by the U.S. military. It turns out like there's a lot of panic about, the commies and the Martians in this movie, and the real enemy is the military-industrial complex.
That's right, we're talking about The Iron Giant today, directed by director of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Brad Bird.
Yes, also famous director of animated films, though usually not 2D animated.
I was going to say, he should do more real movies.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about one of those today. We're talking about an animated film called The Iron Giant.
I would say this is also a real movie.
I don't think animation is actually cinema, Justice.
I'm going to kill you. If you're starting this episode saying that The Iron Giant is not, quote, real cinema, end quote,
I just think it might be...
I'm going to beat you to death with this microphone.
I just think, animated movies are just baby movies for babies.
All right, he's trolling.
And
he's just talking about out of his ass. It's being a little stinker over here.
I'm just a little stinker. I'm your host, David Scandura, joined as always by my co-host and the metal monster, the giant they say everything except the Iron Giant in this movie.
Yeah.
No one ever actually says the Iron Giant.
No, they call him the Giant a lot.
They say the Giant. I think they say the metal giant.
Hogarth just calls him Giant. And
I'm just waiting for them to say the Iron Giant, but it's not until the statue at the end with the plaque.
Yeah. Yeah.
My co-host, Justus Burkitt.
Hello, yes. It is I. Here to talk about a very, very important movie to me. So, just blanket warning that I'm going to be hyperbolic as fuck on this episode.
He's going to be annoying on this one.
I'm going to be annoying on this one.
More annoying than usual.
Fuck you, but you're right. Yes, I'm going to be unbearable. I'm going to try and not talk about this movie for 3 hours like I did with Spider-Man.
Hey.
But I will have a lot to say, and some of it is probably going to seem maybe I'm going a little far for a movie that is for children. But fuck you. This movie's very important to me, and I want to talk about it.
I was the sole reason that our episodes on Who Killed Captain Alex and Deadbeat at Dawn, two low-budget action movies that no one gives a shit about, were both longer than the actual films themselves by a pretty wide margin. So if you want to get passionate about this, again, baby film for babies, by all means, go ahead.
Or will this be the shortest episode of all time because I'm gonna beat David unconscious? Yeah, but before we get into the Iron Giant, I do need to know how you're doing.
Oh, I feel like dog shit, dude.
Oh, yeah? Not so good?
I feel awful.
I'm sorry.
It was a terrible fucking week. It was one of those, we're recording this the week of Labor Day, 4-day weeks that were incredibly busy because I have less time to do work.
Right. It's you got a holiday off, but now it's you're cramming all the work from the day that you didn't work into the other days.
And I'm still covering someone.
Yeah.
And there's other people helping me cover who have offered to cover because it is just me personally. I think it is too much work for one person. Yeah. But especially too much work for one person who doesn't do that much work to begin with on a normal day.
Yeah. Right. It's too much work for anybody, but it's especially too much work for you.
I can't be doing all this shit, man.
Yeah.
I can't. I gotta take my, hourly shits. I gotta lie down on the couch and scroll through phone.
Yeah.
I have to take my nap on the clock. I can't be doing
Gotta
work, man.
Stare at a wall and disassociate for a little bit. At least that was me when I was working at desk
See,
job.
see, I don't
That's still me sometimes.
I don't do that. I play game in browser.
Yeah.
Um,
I was doing that for a while back when I worked at my old job. I went through a big Tetris phase at my old job where I was probably playing Tetris 5 hours a day and then working the other 3, which it's weird that I don't have that job anymore.
I got so good at Tetris in college.
Yeah.
Because previous guest and future guest on the show, Dennis Ray, brought his laptop to class to play Tetris.
Yeah.
And then I had the exact same idea. And then I started playing Tetris and I couldn't stop. And now I genuinely think Tetris is like in the top 5 video games of all time.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes simplicity is king.
Did you ever play the Impossible Quiz?
No.
You never played the Impossible Quiz?
Not that I recall.
It was like a flash game?
As far as I can remember, I did not.
I booted that up yesterday at work and gave that a whirl.
Nice.
A little trip down memory lane. I guess that's my media recommendation for the week. Fucking play the Impossible Quiz. But no, I'm quite bad.
I'm sorry you're bad.
And then I took a walk, and the walk went fine. Everything was fine, just a normal 45-minute walk. And I got home, and then later that night, my foot started hurting, and then I was not able to put weight on it, and I am still limping around like an idiot for some reason.
I think this is just a thing that must happen to men over 200 pounds when you are 32 years old, because this exact fucking thing happened to me a few weeks ago, where I woke up one morning and my foot just hurt really bad, and I was like hobbling around. And then it went on for several days, and now my foot feels fine again. And I'm like, okay, so did my foot just like get tired of carrying my mass around and is just like fucked up now somehow? Like, I didn't do anything to it. I didn't drop anything on it. I didn't hit it on anything. It's just like it just stopped feeling right.
I don't know if I have any actual media. I watched The Siege last night, directed by Edward Zwick. It's a pre 9/11 movie about Islamic terrorism in New York City.
Oh, weird.
It's like 98 or 99. Like, we're just getting this one in under the wire.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington. And it is a fascinating movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's great. I think Zwick is a great director and like knows how to use scale to his advantage and stuff like that. Parts of it have aged really, I don't want to say poorly, but it's a very fascinating movie to unpack with how it deals with Islamophobia and the military-industrial complex and like military occupation and like the ethics of torture and stuff like that. It's weird how it deals with that just a few years before 9/11.
Yeah.
But it's really held up by the sense of scale, and like Denzel is giving like maybe one of his best performances ever in this movie that no one remembers.
Yeah. That's cool. It's always cool to have like a hidden gem performance from like a great actor in just some like throwaway movie that nobody's ever seen. It's great when that happens.
Yeah. Also, Annette Bening, I was not familiar with her game.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen her in a couple other movies, but she's great in that movie, and also she's a stone cold fucking fox in that game.
Nice.
Yeah. The Siege.
Sick.
Give it a whirl if you're so inclined. It's an interesting movie.
Oh yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, although like currently I just have like 60 unread emails in my inbox, and the stress associated with that is weighing heavily on my brain. But that's a me problem.
Boy, I have 12,000 unread emails in my inbox. Don't worry about that.
Are you fucking kidding me? That is depraved.
Yeah.
I'm glad High Priestess Pod is asleep and didn't hear you say that, because she would come in here and slap you in the face.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, the little red icon that tells you how many.
Yeah.
21,510.
What? Do you not filter anything out?
I think
Do you not read any emails?
I don't think so. I don't think I think it's a lot. It's a lot of spam for sure.
Yeah.
Or stuff that I subscribe to.
Filter that stuff out so that it doesn't contribute to the count. That's wild. Well, I guess that puts things in perspective. Maybe I'm actually
You're doing
great.
fine, buddy.
No, yeah, but I'm pretty good. Do I have a media recommendation? I feel like I thought of something, but it is not immediately coming to mind, so I guess I don't.
We watched The Hitcher.
We did watch The Hitcher. The Hitcher was really fucking good. Great movie.
I've debated if we should do that on the podcast, but I was more interested in watching it before doing it on the podcast because I wanted to watch it again.
Right,
more
yeah.
than
Well, and
cover it.
sometimes like the experience of watching a movie for the pod versus watching a movie just for enjoyment, like does impact your viewing of the movie. I feel like, because even if I'm not taking notes, even if it's a movie for the show where I like eschew the notes to like be more immersed in the movie, it's like still my brain is doing like a different kind of analysis when I'm like, I'm going to have to talk about this on a podcast than it is when I'm just like watching it to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so I feel like I agree. Like I'm glad we watched The Hitcher not for the show first, because that way like my conscious brain like analyzing shit was like quiet, and instead I was just like just living in the movie the way that you really need to for that movie, because it's mostly atmosphere. Yeah, the movie's sick as fuck, dude. Rutger Hauer owns bones in that shit.
Yeah, it's right as hell.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Some of the greatest vehicle stunts I've ever seen in a movie, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just flipping. Oh, we flipped so many cars in that movie.
We crash a fucking helicopter, and when that happened, like I out loud was like, "Fuck yeah!"
You also did your laugh every time Rutger Hauer appeared on screen.
He just shows up in that movie with this like shit-eating grin, being like, I'm about to fuck up this guy's whole life, and every single time it happened, I was like, yes. Give it to me. Evil Rutger Hauer, inject it into my veins. Yeah, I love him. Yeah, so watch The Hitcher, I guess.
Okay.
But we're not here to talk about The Hitcher. We're here to talk about Brad Bird's The Iron Giant, a animated film from 1999. And I did tell you, David, I had a little bit of stuff that I wanted to say about the background of this film before we really get into it, that I found interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna lead with that, and then we can kind of talk about like our relationship to this movie. So the original story was published in 1968 by Ted Hughes, who was Sylvia Plath's husband, and if Sylvia Plath is to be believed, which I think she is, he was kind of an abusive piece of shit. He was like a bad dude who sucked. But the story was originally written after Sylvia Plath's suicide, as a way for him to comfort their children. And you know, even though he seems like he was a shit-ass husband, maybe he was a halfway decent dad, maybe not, who knows. But it's an interesting thing that this story kind of starts from a way for him to help his children cope with a loss, because that connects it to like kind of where Brad Bird was coming from when he made this movie, which was his sister had been killed by her ex-husband. He shot her. And in the wake of that personal tragedy is when he first connected to this project. So it's just very interesting to me that there is like a through line from Ted Hughes to Brad Bird of this being a story that kind of resonates with people, was originated by people, right? Who have dealt with a very sudden and tragic personal loss. You know?
Have you read the original story?
I haven't, but I know the summary of it more or less. But no, I've never read it. Have you?
No, because I was learning this for the first time while
Right.
doing some brief research.
Got it.
On the film, that this was adapted from a story.
Yeah, the things that I know about the story are the basic premise of a giant metal man mysteriously showing up in a small town and befriending a boy named Hogarth is from the original Ted Hughes story. That's from that. And also the way that the giant is able to repair himself, where if he like loses pieces, they like have a homing beacon that it makes them come back to him and he can put himself back together. That's also from the original source material. And in the original book, I know that he does save the world, much as he does in this movie. But in the original book, he saves it from like a giant space dragon. So I think the changes that Brad Bird and team made to the ending of this movie probably for the best. I feel like it wouldn't necessarily resonate the same way emotionally if instead of a nuke it was fucking King Ghidorah.
Actually, I disagree. I disagree heavily. I want to see the space dragon. This is like changing the space squid for Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen. I think this misses the point entirely.
I'm not going to say I'm not interested in the version with the space dragon, because I definitely am, but I feel like with the Cold War setting and everything, I feel like the nuke is a little bit more like, it ties into the themes of the movie.
I was thinking about this while watching it. You bring up King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
The three-headed monster.
Uh-huh.
Monster Zero. Astro Monster himself. Who would win in a fight, the Iron Giant or Godzilla?
That's a really interesting question. I feel like Godzilla's bigger. Isn't Godzilla like hundreds of feet high?
In the early Showa movies, I think he's probably somewhere between 60 and 100 feet.
Okay.
And then in the newer Legendary Pictures movies, he kind of grows for each movie because they have to make him bigger to fight different monsters.
Yeah. I feel like the Iron Giant's probably getting wasted. As much as I love that guy.
I think it's Godzilla for sure.
Yeah, I think Godzilla's coming out on top.
I mean, I know Iron Giant has the regeneration ability.
I like to think that they would just be homies, though. I hope the Iron Giant would ride Godzilla like a horse.
I think Godzilla and the Iron Giant would fight for part of the movie and then team up at the end to defeat the real monster, which would probably be King Ghidorah.
Or the U.S. military.
Or the U.S. military. Or Mecha Godzilla, like in Godzilla vs. Kong. So
yeah. Anyway.
Sorry to derail your very
No, it's fine.
It's
fine. I was just talking about how Brad Bird's personal
background
trauma
and research
led him
sequence.
to make this movie.
We went from personal trauma to the King of the Monsters.
Another interesting thing about this movie, other than sort of the similarities between the circumstances in Ted Hughes and Brad Bird's life when they were making their respective versions of it, right, is that Pete Townsend has a connection to this as well, because after Ted Hughes wrote the original story, it was kind of a hit. It was like big in England, and Pete Townsend had read the book, and he was like, I'm going to make a concept album about this story, which he did do. So there's a Pete Townsend album, I think called like The Iron Man or something.
Yeah, because the book is called The Iron Man.
Yeah, that's a concept album based on the Ted Hughes story. And then Pete Townsend was looking to make a stage musical version of that concept album, like had been done with Tommy, right? And he actually got the guy who had helped create the stage adaptation of Tommy to work on the stage adaptation of the Iron Man with him. And that project like progressed for a little bit. And then I think somewhere along the line, Pete Townsend and his collaborators like realized that this was going to be better as a movie than as a stage adaptation. From there, it went on to Don Bluth, famous animator, but he didn't end up seeing it through to the end, and eventually it changed hands to Brad Bird. Brad Bird's pitch to Warner Brothers for his version of the Iron Giant was, what if a gun had a soul and didn't want to be a gun? Which I think is one of the best pitches for a movie that I've ever heard. It's like it is such an interesting thing coming from him after a man with a gun took the life of his sister, and he was like in very intense grieving over that loss, right? That where his mind went is like, I'm mad at the man who did this. I'm sad that I lost this person. And there's this object, right, that was instrumental in this loss. And he's like projecting emotion and humanity onto the object, that because the person wielding it took his sister away from him, but he seems like more fixated on the thing itself, you know?
Right.
And that's just, it's very interesting to me. I don't really have a take on it. It's a part of this movie's background that I've always found very fascinating.
Well, it's a pretty heady concept for a children's movie, and I think even in the film itself, it's presented very well. But it is surprising how this movie is able to confront death and violence in a very frank and realistic way, and that he pitched it to Warner Brothers with that in mind. And then I kind of, it's tough because I get it and I don't get it. Okay, I mean, like, first of all, fuck Warner Brothers. Like, Warner Brothers is
totally.
dog shit, terrible company.
Yes, agree.
They have been for a very long time now. I understand that's a difficult and heady message for a kids movie, but then watching the movie itself, watching the actual end product, I don't understand how they didn't know what they didn't know what they had.
Yes.
I don't understand how they watched this movie and were like, we have no idea how to market this to kids.
Right. This is the other thing about this movie. The other thing about it is that this is a famous box office bomb. It did not even make its budget back at the box office. And as you said, the reason for that is because Warner Brothers did not barely made a peep about this thing coming out. So people just had no fucking clue this was even hitting theaters. And it barely did. Like, it hit theaters and performed poorly and was pulled pretty quick, right? And it's like, yeah, what the fuck?
I mean, the critical reviews were great at the time.
Yes, people loved it.
And I think even, in terms of like home video releases and stuff, it was popular.
Yeah.
Like, I remember people talking about this as a kid. So I don't think it took a while for like the cult appreciation to catch on. I think it was just like Warner Brothers just shat this thing out.
Yeah.
Sent this thing out in theaters to die without any sort of marketing.
Yeah, the reason that I've heard about why they fumbled the marketing on this so bad is that they had just seen how poorly Quest for Camelot had performed, which was like a real dud, right? And the lesson they took away from that is people don't want animated movies that are targeted at the segment of childhood that's like a little too old for like baby stuff, but too young for like really crass humor, like a lot of violence or something. Because this movie, The Iron Giant, is very much like a movie aimed at older kids. There's a little bit of language in this movie. The themes are kind of heavy. There's a few moments that are kind of scary, right? And so it's like, yeah, this is kind of aimed at like the 9 to like 13 demographic. And I feel like Quest for Camelot was like trying to do a similar thing in terms of its audience, and that movie had failed so miserably that I think Warner Brothers was just scared of an animated movie for that demographic.
Yeah. Well, I think science fiction animated films aimed at teenage boys seem to consistently fail at the box office, and I'm thinking of Disney around this time, like Treasure Planet, Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I don't think this was Disney. This may have been, I don't know, Fox or Universal or something. I'm trying to think. Titan AE, which was a big movie for me as a kid. That failed at the box office. And recently, we're still seeing that specifically with Disney, with Strange World, which no one remembers, and that came out like 2 years ago.
I didn't even know that was a movie.
And then Elio this year.
Yeah.
The Pixar film Elio. So it just seems like they can't quite crack that demographic with this particular genre of kids movie focused on more science fiction.
It would be
aimed
interesting.
at boys.
It would be interesting to see like a parallel universe where Warner Brothers had marketed the shit out of this thing, and to see what the box office numbers would have been like, and if it really was just kind of a failure on the studio's part, or if, even though in my opinion this movie's kind of a masterpiece, if it maybe wouldn't have performed that well at the box office regardless. It's we'll never know. It's just like, I wonder how much of it is really on like the marketing team at Warner Brothers, and how much of it is just like, is this the kind of movie that gets a lot of butts in seats, you know? Or is it a little too heady? Is it a little too mature, right? Is the target audience a little bit too narrow for this, I don't know. Anyway, so those are most of the tidbits that I wanted to mention about the making of this movie. What's your relationship with the Iron Giant? Like,
my relationship with this thing is pretty brief. I watched this as a kid, probably on home video. I think this was just before the age where we were seeing stuff in theaters because of the age of my brother. I don't know that we owned it, although we do have I did borrow my parents' DVD copy of this, but I don't think we ever had this on VHS. I don't know. But I watched it quite a few times as a kid. Watching it this time was probably the first time I'd seen it in at least half of my life. Like, I may have seen this in high school one day when the teacher just put on a movie. But I don't think I've seen it since then. So it's like I've seen it before, and I remembered quite a lot of it, and like remembered specific lines and line deliveries and stuff. Where's the giant, Mansley?
This is a movie with, I think the voice performances in this movie are pretty much across the board fucking incredible, and because of that, this is a movie where line deliveries just really stick in your head.
Yeah.
It's up my leg, man. Squirrels in my pants, Hogarth. I'm trying not to wig out here.
Also, the kid's named Hogarth in this movie.
Hogarth Hughes, yes, which is also from the original Ted Hughes story.
Yeah.
He's named Hogarth in that too.
Wild fucking name for a movie character.
Yes.
I've been thinking about the name Hogarth for my entire life.
Might as well call him Zeppo or something.
The other name that I can't stop thinking about from a movie is from the movie I, Robot.
Yeah.
Do you know what Will Smith's character's name in that is?
I do not recall. Senator, I don't recall.
Del Spooner.
Del Spooner?
First name Del, last name Spooner.
Yeah.
That's a wild name.
That is insane. That's crazy.
I think even when I saw that movie when I was 13, I was like, that's a funny name I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
There's a lot of good names in this movie, too. Kent Mansley. That's a
Kent
great
Mansley's
name.
a great name. Oh, what was the general's name?
General Rogard.
Yeah. That's a good name.
Yeah. Man, General Rogard being played perfectly by John Mahoney in this movie. John Mahoney knocks this voice performance out of the fucking park.
Yeah, his voice performance really stood out to me, too. I forgot how funny he is in this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, I watched this a little bit as a kid. Have some fond memories of it. Did not watch it much in my teenage or adult life. So this is my first time coming to this thing in, like probably 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
What about you? Because I know you have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, this is a big one for me. I'm going to keep it brief, but like, I remember very distinctly becoming aware of this movie for the first time because I didn't see it when it came out in theaters. Very few people did. But I was watching some other movie that we had rented, and in the trailers for on this DVD that we had rented, one of the trailers was for the Iron Giant.
I think it may have been it's like that for me too, where it was like a trailer before a DVD or a VHS, or just like a 30-second spot on, the WB Kids channel or something.
Yeah. And I will always remember like watching the trailer for this because it was like family movie night, so my whole family was there. I was 9 when I first became aware of this movie, which was 2 years after it was released. I was 7 when this was released, and so the trailer on this DVD that we were watching started with, "You're 9 years old, you're watching TV, you go looking for trouble, and sure enough, it finds you." And the trailer was mostly the scene where Hogarth is watching TV, and then the antenna gets taken off the roof of the house, and he goes in the woods looking for what took it, right? And I remember as I was watching it, my mom was like, "You're 9 years old and watching TV." And I was like, "You're right, I am. That kid's literally me. That kid's literally me."
Now I'm picturing your mom saying that in her voice.
Yeah. She just thought it was funny that it's like the trailer started with that and is like, it was true of me in that exact moment. But I that is such like a clear memory for me. And then I know that we rented the Iron Giant because we saw that trailer. and then we bought the Iron Giant after we watched it as a rental, and then it was just on. It's super heavy rotation in my childhood home. When I was 9, I probably watched this movie, I don't know, a dozen times, and then a comparable amount for the next several years. And then once I got into high school, I didn't watch it as much, maybe every once in a while when my little siblings were watching it. But I do remember revisiting this, I think, once or twice in college, and then I've watched it I think one time post-college, so like within the last like 10 years. I think about 5 years ago, I got the itch and I was just like, I have to go back to that movie, and watched it again. And every time I watch this movie, I feel like I love it more. Like, I feel like there has never been a time with this movie where I kind of like fell out of favor with me or anything. It's just one of those for me where I notice new details every time. I notice new stuff that the movie is saying thematically. Different performances stand out to me every time. It really does feel like one of those objects where there is like limitless potential for me to just keep digging into it and just getting more and more out of it. Which feels crazy because it's like a animated kids movie, which is like not my typical wheelhouse necessarily. It's not what most of what I enjoy is not that, but this thing is really special to me. It's just yeah, it's like one of the most influential pieces of art in my life.
We've covered a few TM Justus Burkitt Childhood Classics on this program. Is this the text, you think? Do you think this is the most important one?
I think so. I think this is, because the other ones are like The Prince of Egypt, Willow, Lady Hawk. No, I would say that The Iron Giant is easily the one that has been the most important and probably my favorite of all of them as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Very special and important movie to me. And I know a lot of people of our generation feel the same. There's a lot of guys out there like me who have a relationship like that to this movie.
There's a lot of love for this movie.
Yeah.
And I think what makes it special is that this is the only one.
Yeah.
There is no sequel.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
I think there were I heard I didn't look at the research beforehand or research this beforehand, but I think I have heard that there were ideas for a sequel that never came to pass about him like defending Earth from the aliens that made him or something like that.
Yeah, I don't need it.
But yeah, it's great that this thing is just kind of its own thing. Except I didn't realize this. I didn't realize there was an extended cut of this movie. And you watched both cuts.
I did, yes. Last night I watched the theatrical cut, and then this morning I watched the signature edition, which came out, I'm not sure the year, but I think 2019 they did a theatrical re-release of this movie that was the signature edition. And it was coinciding with the first ever Blu-ray release of this. And the signature edition was overseen by Brad Bird. And it included a deleted scene that had been finished but cut that was like on the DVD, I think, as like an extra. But it also included a scene that had only ever been storyboarded and never actually finished. And they got back Jennifer Aniston and a couple other voice actors to voice like that scene. And like animated it and put it into the movie. And when we're recapping the movie, I'll like get into what the scenes were. Yeah.
Because on the DVD, it had a section called additional scenes.
Yeah.
But it was just animated storyboards.
Right.
And some of them were in like various some of them were storyboards, like just storyboards. Some of them were early animation drafts.
Mm-hmm.
But like with an animated movie at this time, every drawing you make costs money. So if you're going to cut something, you cut something before it's finished.
Yeah, totally.
So I had no idea that they went back and like finished some of those scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's only a couple. Like I will say the special or the signature edition is really for diehard Iron Giant fans only. Like, nobody else really needs to consider it essential, because they add like less than 10 minutes of new stuff. And I kind of think the theatrical cut is perfect as is. Like, I think adding in the scenes that they added in does add something for me as someone who has seen this movie 100 times and loves it to death. It's like, more Iron Giant is cool for me, but I don't think the movie needs it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because Brad Bird said in like he did a little clip where he explained the scenes before they showed them on the DVD, and there were a couple of them, like one where the giant has a dream of his homeworld.
That's in the signature edition.
Where he was like, I really wish this had been in the movie, and I think the movie would have been better with it, but I'm fine without it.
Yeah, I kind of want to wait to talk about that scene until we get to it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting that he feels that way, because I can go either way with the giant's dream. But yeah. So let's dive into it. So like, the movie opens, and immediately to me, it is always clear, again, every time I rewatch this, that I don't think we will ever get a 2D animated film with CGI elements that looks better than this. Because the first fucking shot is Sputnik orbiting the Earth in space, and it looks fucking incredible. And some of the stuff in this movie, like Sputnik, like basically every time you see the giant, is 3D animation that they have shaded and textured to look like 2D animation. And so it's like, those are CGI elements, but then the backgrounds and all of the other characters are hand-drawn 2D animation. And it's like, I just don't think it has ever been done this well before or since.
I think the integration is really important.
Yeah.
Because there are other animated movies at this time starting to add CG elements, but the CG is so blatant and it takes you out of the movie.
Yeah, you mentioned Atlantis: The Lost Empire. That's one of those for me, where anytime there's CG shit happening in that movie, it like stands out like a sore thumb to me.
We should watch that.
Yeah.
We should do that for the show.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking of was Titan AE, where the ship in Titan is CG, and that looks, you'll see shots of the characters moving inside the ship through the windows, and it's just like this CGI blob and then 2D animation. Or Road to El Dorado has some CG, like really obvious CG elements. And then, like WB animated shows, like the Batman animated series shows and like Justice League were starting to incorporate CG for like vehicles and stuff. But I think you're right. I think the giant in particular, because obviously is the main thing in the movie, looks really well integrated with the rest of the 2D traditional animated elements.
Yeah, and the CG still gives him a different enough look that he looks alien compared to the rest of the environment in a really good way. Right? Because it's like, because he is animated differently, he does kind of pop and stand out from the backgrounds and in comparison to the other characters, in a way that like it makes him feel like he doesn't quite belong in the environment, even though he's integrated pretty seamlessly. Your eye can still tell the difference, and I love that he looks alien. Just his presence feels different. But yeah, so he falls from space here, in a ball of fire through the atmosphere, right, into this storm off the coast of Maine. And we get the first of several excellent animated old man faces in this movie. There are so many like animated dudes who just look like they have faces like catcher's mitts.
Oh yeah, there's a few like crusty little redneck fucks in this movie.
I love all the like wrinkly old dudes in this movie. They're all great. And this guy Earl is the first one that we see. He's like, his fishing vessel is like lost in this storm off the coast of Rockwell, Maine. So named, of course, in reference to Norman Rockwell, because the whole idea of the town is like, this is like a perfect slice of just the sweetest, nicest country living, small town living that America has to offer, right? It's very idyllic. But so he's radioing in to the like Portland station and being like, hey, like I'm, I need to be directed to safety or whatever. And then he sees a light and he's like, oh, it's the lighthouse. And then the head turns and it's two lights and he's like, what the fuck? He runs into the giant. This whole sequence I love. I feel like it starts the movie so atmospheric. It's kind of scary. It's tense. And like, it really sets up one of the levels that this movie is operating on, which is the homage to the like Howard Hawks, like It Came from Outer Space type movie, right? Like, or the like sci-fi like serial comics, right? Because that's like one of the modes of this movie that I think it balances with its other ones pretty well. And starting with the Iron Giant as like, yeah, like a mysterious alien creature that is like terrorizing this guy on this fishing boat feels like it plants that seed very early. And yeah, I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good intro.
Anyway.
They do this throughout the movie with the eyes of the giant, and especially at nighttime, how they're just like these little beams.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how there are scenes where it's quite intimidating and scary and atmospheric, like you said, and then there's others where you see him like poking his head over the forest. Where it's just like the drawing that Hogarth does after seeing him, that first night of his head poking out above the trees and the searchlights of his eyes piercing out into the night. That those feel like sad and lonely, and quiet, and different, and like they're a really great way to show you the different sides of this character.
Yeah.
Just through his design.
The emotional range of the Iron Giant, even when he's not speaking, is very impressive. Just through the combination of like his animation and his design. Right?
Yeah.
And then like when you layer on the vocal performance, Vin Diesel never better, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is Vin Diesel a better voice actor than he is actor?
I think this might be Vin Diesel's best performance. I'm not joking. He is phenomenal in this movie. So, like, yeah, maybe. Like,
this is really early in his career, too. He had only done a handful of movies, and Brad Bird picked him based on, I think, the recommendation of a friend who saw him in a short film.
Mm-hmm. That's so rad. It's so rad that like little baby Vin Diesel just getting started like appeared in a short and Brad Bird was like, you want to do that gravelly thing as a robot?
Yeah, he had done or at least Saving Private Ryan hadn't come out before this.
Right. But this might have started production earlier because animation takes fucking forever.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly when this movie started production,
but he was just starting to he like Pitch Black was a few years away, so in terms of like starring Vin Diesel name on the poster stuff, we were still a couple years off from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's his voice performance is, I think, essential to this character.
I agree. I can't imagine this movie without him. Yeah. So like the shipwreck happens, Earl gets washed up on the rocks. A thing I do want to call out is, I'm not going to call it out every time, but the first time it happens is when Earl gets washed up and looks up at the lighthouse, and the light on the lighthouse is spinning, and we match cut to the sun rising over Rockwell. That is the first of several match cuts in this movie that make me feel like I am transcending to a higher plane. They are like, there are match cuts in this movie where I'm like, I think this animated movie is maybe the best edited movie of all time. That's one of them. I'm not going to call out all of them, but another one that I love is when Hogarth is talking to the giant about what they're going to do, and he's like, well, we can't call Ripley's Believe It or Not or whatever. And then they cross-cut that scene with Kent Mansley talking to like the room full of people in the mayor's office. And there's a moment where Kent is like doing a gesture, and we match cut to Hogarth doing the exact same thing. And it's just so, it's the kind of match cut that feels more magical with animation because you can be so precise. Like, you can make it so exact. Like, the lines can match up exactly, you know? And I just love seeing that shit in this movie. It's one of those little details that I think really puts this thing over the edge.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I picked up on them that much this time. But I think that is just because this movie is very well animated and very well detailed. There's a lot of stuff happening all at once, and like sometimes my brain doesn't always pick up on that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a quote from Roger Ebert on the back of the DVD box that I thought was hilarious, where he's like, "This thing is so well crafted, and its emotions are so realistic and well portrayed that you forget that these are animated characters and this is an animated world." And I'm like, Roger, no, I didn't. I don't think Hogarth Hughes is a real person, but okay, I'm glad that you do. But I think there's a point there where, like, you do just kind of, this world is so easy for you to enter, and immerse yourself in.
Yeah.
That sometimes, at least for me, sometimes those details didn't always stand out. Because I wasn't maybe looking for them. I was just sort of like enjoying the movie.
In your defense, I've also seen this movie 100 times.
Right. This is my first go around with this. Actually, there's one visual joke that I really like that I'll call out now because I will forget about it. One of the many scenes where Mansley's getting chewed out by the general, and he's on the phone in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And Hogarth's mom has like an oven mitt that's
with
like
a
dog with a silly face, and he turns it around. That was funny as fuck.
I love that moment too, because he's like, "Don't judge me, oven mitt." Yeah, it's great. Another thing that I when you were talking about this movie kind of immerses you in the world so quickly and so effectively, one of the best examples of that in this movie for me is, you know, like, so lighthouse match cuts to sun rising above Rockwell, and then we get Hogarth Hughes riding to the diner on his bicycle, and the music and the colors and the warmth and the artistry of all the buildings in Rockwell that you see as Hogarth's like flying past him on his bike, it's just immediately you get this like small town coastal Maine thing before anyone even fucking talks in Rockwell. Like, you can just see all of it in like the shots of him just riding up to the diner. And the score in this movie I think is incredible. I love the music. It's so emotive and so cinematic. Like, it feels like big and grand, but also like it can tones down when it needs to be a little bit more plaintive or just like emotionally precise, you know, and like playful at times. I love this score. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think the score is great, done by Michael Kamen. Kamen, I forget how you say it.
I don't know.
Which surprised me. I was wondering who did the score while I was watching it, because it stood out to me as well.
Yeah. So yeah, there's the scene at the diner where we get the introduction to kind of him and his mom's relationship. Single mom, working constantly, right? So he's a little bit of a latchkey kid. He's like finding squirrels and putting them in boxes to keep as pets. And she's trying her best, but she's like overworked and she's tired, and she's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, fucking, I'll take a look at the squirrel. Who knows? We'll figure it out, you know?
I still haven't gotten over the raccoon. Is that what she said?
Yeah, I remember the raccoon.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston as his mom, Annie Hughes. Jennifer Aniston rules in this movie. I think her voice performance is incredible.
I was thoroughly impressed with it. Not that I don't think, I mean, we've talked about Jennifer Aniston on Office Space.
Yeah. Good
actress, but she has a great voice performance in this thing. Like, really gave herself to it. I think she did a good job.
Yeah.
On a less serious note, holy shit, Hogarth's mom is a smoke show.
Annie Hughes can get it.
Jesus.
She's also my type. She's a redhead with green eyes.
I did a little
I did marry one of those.
You did. I did a little Googling. I typed in the words Iron Giant Rule 34 into good old incognito mode.
Oh no.
And found I pulled up I think it was like the Rule 34 website or one of them. There's a few that are probably just called Rule 34. And I found 9 pages
of Annie Hughes
of Iron Giant related porn. Most of it Annie Hughes. There was one that was Dean with his shirt unbuttoned and he's got like a 6-pack and his cock is sticking up. He's got a big cock.
Dean definitely has a big dick.
Yeah.
This guy has the most big dick energy out of anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah. There was one of the Giant and Hogarth.
I don't like that.
It wasn't even particularly explicit. It was
I don't
my eyes. I wish I no longer could see.
Spare me the details, please. I don't want my childhood ruined.
The Giant has robot tentacles, apparently.
I don't want to know, damn it.
I am not a dildo. Moving on, we should talk about Dean.
Yeah, speaking of Dean and his dick, a squirrel encounters it here. But while so the squirrel gets away. Hogarth tracks it to under Dean's table, like moves the newspaper, and his reaction immediately tells you, the audience, everything you need to know about Dean, because Hogarth moves the newspaper and his face says, "This is the coolest man who's ever lived."
I thought we might be doing this because I think at some point watching this movie as a child, I saw Dean and I realized, oh, that's what it means to be cool.
Yeah, dude.
There's something about him.
He's cool as fuck.
He just meets this kid. This is the first time they've met.
Yeah.
The squirrel gets in his pants, and Dean's not having a great time, but he's pretty chill about it for a man with a squirrel in his pants.
Right.
That is, because of this kid that he just met. I like his delivery of "Squirrels in my pants, Hogarth."
Found your pet. Yeah, Dean fucking rules. Dean, similar to what you just said, kind of showed me what a cool guy is at 9 years old. Harry Connick Jr. also, his voice performance, again, is perfect for this movie. He really kills this. I love how even when he's, pissed off, he kind of seems like he's, kind and good-natured. When he's, telling Hogarth, I'm not going to take care of your giant robot. The whole time, and part of it's the animation, but a lot of it is Harry Connick Jr.'s performance. You feel his side of things, and where he's I don't want to deal with this. This is a bad idea, but also, I am not going to, turn away another soul in need. He's such a, I don't know. He has so much empathy. He's got so much pathos in this voice performance that I love.
Yeah.
And he sounds cool as fuck.
I think he's too cool to be owning a scrapyard.
Oh, I think that's rad as fuck, though, that he owns a scrapyard. Because he's, such a committed metal sculptor that he's I can, give my all to my metal sculpting if the materials to make my art are just surrounding my house at all times. It feels like a practical decision where he's I went into the career that best serves my art.
Yeah, it was just funny to me that he comes out in that mechanic outfit, and I'm like, you feel wrong for this type of profession, but you know what, man? If it helps your art, then go for it.
He's a blue collar artist. He's he gets his hands dirty, but he also feels deeply. That's what makes him so fucking cool. He's a working man's artist.
I also like that they sort of do the relationship with him and Annie Hughes kind of in the background of this movie.
Yeah.
And at the epilogue at the very end, it's revealed that they're in a relationship
dating
now.
Yeah.
But I like that they do that kind of subtly.
Yeah, there's little moments when the army comes towards the end of the movie, he helps Annie into the car. He extends his hand to help her step up into the Humvee or whatever. And there's little moments like that where it's oh, they're flirting, and when she compliments his art and stuff,
Yeah. And the vocal performances between Connick and Aniston have really good chemistry.
Yes,
I don't know if they recorded these together or whatnot.
Yeah.
But
So this is a good time for me to call out that one of the deleted scenes that is added to the signature edition, it doesn't happen right here, but it's relevant to the conversation, is after there's like obviously the squirrel mayhem happens, and then Hogarth has his first encounter with the giant, and then is like talking to the kids in school about it. Right after that, we get a scene in the signature edition where Dean is at the diner again, talking to Annie and apologizing for making a scene the other day. And Annie's like, no, it's fine. Like, I know it wasn't you. Like, Hogarth is, a little troubled. I think he's lonely. And they kind of like, in that scene, they kind of flirt a little bit and bond a little bit more. So it does kind of make their relationship, it plants the seeds of their relationship a little earlier in the movie. But I don't think it needs that. Like, you watched the theatrical version, and you liked how it was handled.
Yeah, and like these are two really hot animated characters to begin with, so like
we understand how these two could end up with each other. But they're both hot and cool.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little scene. I just don't need it. I enjoyed seeing it in the signature edition. And that's the one that they like brought back Harry Connick Jr. and Jennifer Aniston to voice.
Oh, okay.
Because they hadn't even voiced that one, I think.
Okay.
Also, it's weird because the animation does look a little like different in that scene because they finished it later. So like they did a pretty good job matching the style and everything, but just something about the characters, like I think their colors are maybe a little bit more vibrant or something where it stands out a little bit. You can tell it was added later. Yeah.
I do sort of remember in my mind's eye, I guess, the colors being more vibrant in this movie, and not that they're not.
Yeah.
There are some parts where the animation has shown its age ever so slightly with like some of the facial animations.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And also like it's a movie where a lot of like kind of big complicated moments happen. Like there, especially the end, like the big ending kind of action set piece has so much going on that I feel like they tried to simplify the character designs as much as possible to make it easy to animate them doing a lot of like crazy shit. So Dean rules. We love Dean. He gets a squirrel in his pants. I like when he says, I'd like to apologize to everyone in advance for this, and then takes his zipper down and a squirrel comes out of his pants and causes mayhem in the diner, and then he goes, check please. Also in the diner, Earl is talking to another group of guys, group of fishermen, Rockwell fishermen, and he's talking about what he saw. He's saying that he called the government to tell him about it. He's like, yeah, it was this giant metal monster. It's an invader from Mars. And none of them believe him. I like the guy who is like, unidentified. Knowing you are, I'd say it's either whiskey or beer. And I like Dean saying that he saw something too, and then he tells Hogarth like, we got to stick up for the kooks, like it's a moment where it's very clear that he's like good natured. He's got a good heart because he's like doesn't like seeing this old crazy man being picked on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a really good introduction to the character.
Yeah.
So next, Hogarth's at home because his mom's working late, and she specifically tells him like no junk food and scary movies. So the first thing he does is put on a scary movie and eat this Twinkie. Were you going to do a would we eat this for this?
No, I wasn't. What, should we?
I had that in my notes that like I thought you would do a would we eat this for the Twinkie stuffed with extra whipped cream.
I mean, we've already brought it up, so I guess it's time for another installment of Would We Eat This? But I think it's going to be a brief one, David, because what he's eating is a Twinkie that he is injecting additional whipped cream into, and it's like, yeah, of course I'd fucking eat that.
Yeah.
What, are you insane?
That's some galaxy brain stoner shit. Is like you come home high as balls, you open the fridge, and the only thing you have is a can of whipped cream. You open the pantry, and the only thing you have is like
box of
a box of Twinkies, and your brain puts the two of them together. So it's like,
I will say, don't love a Twinkie in general. I kind of feel like there are, processed snacks, sweet snacks that I prefer. Like I like the nutty bars. a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Not a huge Twinkie fan, but like, oh, I'm, my blood runs red like any other American. Of course I would fucking eat a Twinkie with whipped cream in it.
This movie makes scrap metal look delicious, however.
It does.
Every time the Iron Giant is chomping down on something metal, I'm like...
I was not going to do a would we eat this for the metal because, we don't have the digestive tract for it.
Is that technically cannibalism?
I was thinking about this, actually, and I don't think so, because human beings are made out of meat, and we eat meat, right? And it's like, I think he's a giant robot that eats metal. It's no different than a being made of flesh eating flesh. And he's not like eating robots. He's eating like, just other metal.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think it's the same thing as like us eating a hamburger.
And he's probably made of some sort of space alien metal that's entirely different than anything on Earth.
Yeah.
So...
what would be funny is if there was just a little guy in there. Like, if the whole time we thought that he's...
If Iron Giant was powered by a little guy?
Yeah, if we thought the whole time he was like a sentient robot, but it turns out there's just a little guy in there. This has been Would We Eat This?
If there was a little guy in there, I think the movie would have to end with... I feel like, okay, so the Iron Giant's fighting the military or whatever... And then I don't know, like his head opens up or something, and there's a little guy in there.
Yeah.
I would want to see that little guy get killed. I think we do have to kill the little alien controlling the Iron Giant.
Or they like launch the nuke, and then like the little guy like pops out of the head and reveals himself and is like, "Hey, good luck with this. Peace out." Just flies off. Have fun dying though.
Yeah, the head's like an escape pod. It shoots off.
That would not resonate as well emotionally, but it would be pretty funny. Yeah. So he's watching this horror movie, Hogarth is, while he's housing these Twinkies and whipped cream. Darn, a perfectly good brain wasted.
I like the guy just looks like Superman.
Yeah,
he just looks like the WB Superman with like the big square jaw and the black kind of wavy hair and the glasses. Just looks like Clark Kent.
Yeah. Darn, I seem to have left my keys in the lab. While he's watching this movie, he hears noise from up on the roof, and he sees that the antenna has been removed from the top of the house, and there's also like a bite out of a tractor, and then giant footprints going off into the woods. And a thing that I love about this is like Hogarth is very clearly like the perfect age to like not be so scared by this that he's not gonna go see what it is, and like not old enough to like be rational about the danger here. He's like the perfect age. Like 9 is exactly when you would be like, yeah, I'll follow these giant footprints into the woods and see what it is. And there's this whole suiting up montage, which I love, with the music and everything, where he's like putting on the helmet and like taping the flashlight to his BB gun and shit. It's very cute.
Yeah, it's kind of like a great. I think this movie had to be set in the 50s, and I think this is one of those scenes that's like a great representation of why that era was so important for the story that Brad Bird wanted to tell with this, because we're fresh off of World War II, still a few years out from that. So, boys are grown up idolizing soldiers and idolizing the military and idolizing their country. And like we're in the middle of the Cold War, so like they're not immune to propaganda. Hogarth suiting up is him trying to like perform the ideal American masculine man.
Yes. Which is, a thing that I also always latch onto in this movie is, its relationship with sort of like the idea of manliness, especially in that era of American history. Another interesting detail that kind of adds another layer to this, which I think it's good that the movie doesn't dwell on. It's really kind of just an Easter egg, like blink and you miss it thing. There are pictures in the Hughes home, in Annie and Hogarth's house, of a man next to a plane in an aviator, a military aviator uniform. And the assumption that we can make is that that's Hogarth's dad.
Yeah.
Who may have, the implication is that he probably died in action, either in World War II or more likely the Korean War, because it was more recent and Hogarth's pretty young. And I love that the movie doesn't talk about that. I think it's better that they don't.
Yeah, there was a scene that they had, this was on the DVD, that they had, I think, started to animate of Hogarth and his mom talking about his dad.
Yeah.
But I think the movie's much better without it.
Yeah. And it's it kind of adds another layer to Hogarth like suiting up in like the aviator helmet and grabbing his BB gun and everything, because it's like, not only is this like, yeah, the American masculine ideal during the Cold War is like, serve your country, be ready to fight and die against the Reds or whatever. But also it's like what his dad did, it's like, and his dad, who presumably is dead, and he's trying to kind of fill those shoes, he's trying to like become a man when he's still just like a boy.
Yeah, and he's at such an interesting age, because like he is still young enough to enjoy watching scary movies and eating junk food, but his mom has also imbued him with this responsibility of being a latchkey kid and being self-reliant and out on his own. So he's kind of caught between worlds, and is going to have to grow up quicker because his dad isn't around.
Yeah. This leads me to because him and the giant meet pretty soon here, and once they meet, their dynamic starts becoming very familiar to me, which is, this is kind of a movie about having a little brother as well. The whole thing with him, being a kid, but also having this sense of responsibility and feeling like he needs to be the man in his house. You see that when he interacts with Kent Mansley. You see it in stuff like this, where he suits up to go find the monster that took the TV antenna. And then like the giant is so childish, and the world is so new and exciting, but also scary to him. And Hogarth like kind of teaches him and like guides him, and is like his friend, but is also kind of his parent. And it feels so much like Hogarth is the older sibling to the giant in so many ways in this movie, in a way that I really, really love. And I think that like Hogarth being like kind of a latchkey kid is like kind of where that impulse comes from in him to like take care of the giant, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also all the stuff about how Hogarth is a grade ahead, right? And so like he is interacting constantly with kids who are older than him, right? And I feel like that's also part of like he's a little mature for his age, so he goes into the woods. I love how the woods is drawn in this movie. Like anytime we're in the woods, it is such beautiful imagery. It's the closest an American movie for me has ever gotten to like Miyazaki art in terms of like environments, like backgrounds, because it's just so detailed, it's so rich. It feels like these woods go on forever, and the textures of the tree bark and the leaves, it's so you can feel it,
Well, and the movie's set at fall, and there's so many great colors in the background, the leaves and
autumn
stuff.
In New England, baby, it's the most gorgeous environment imaginable.
Gonna go leaf peeping in New England.
Oh man,
which is what they call it.
I
was shocked to discover that was a phrase.
I've really never liked leaf peeping. It's like it implies that you're getting some kind of sexual
you're
thrill.
Perving on the leaves.
Don't like peeping.
Oh yeah, look at that leaf. That leaf doesn't even know I'm peeping at it right now.
Oh, it's gonna fall. It's gonna fall. Oh yeah, it just fell.
Oh yeah, look at that shade of orange.
He goes out in the woods. He finds the power station. And I also just, this movie's gorgeous. I love the way that the power station glows. I can't keep calling out tiny details like this or we're going to be here forever. The giant shows up and starts eating the power station.
I think the design and of the power station and the way things look here, it contributes to the atmosphere of the scene.
Yeah.
The scene's kind of scary.
Yeah.
When, especially when, when the giants introduce, it's scary because Hogarth is running from this giant robot.
Yeah.
But when the giant gets tangled up in the power lines and is being electrocuted, and the way he's screaming and thrashing around, that's scary too.
Yeah. There's even a couple times where we're like following Hogarth, or we cut back to the house when Annie comes home and notices Hogarth is missing, and then we cut back to the giant screaming, where it's like almost a jump scare. It's sort of like a soft, gentle, kid-friendly jump scare, because we go from like kind of quiet in the house to the giant like tangled in these wires with sparks flying and Vin Diesel screaming.
It sort of seems like, and I haven't seen enough of these to really comment on it, it sort of seems like a Universal Monsters kind of homage.
No, I think it is.
Like
I think it is. Having seen a few of those.
Yeah, it seems like Frankenstein coming to life.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And I love the moment where when the giant gets caught in the wires and Hogarth starts running away, and then he stops and turns back because he like recognizes that this thing is in pain, and it's beautiful that it's wordless. I love that Hogarth doesn't say anything. He just goes back and he flips the switch, right? And the giant falls over. There's the great little moment where Hogarth is looking in the giant's mouth and like throwing rocks in and just in wonder at this thing. And then it wakes up and Hogarth runs away and his mom finds him. The next big thing here is they're in class. So he's like doodling the giant like you talked about earlier. And they're watching the duck and cover PSA thing, which this shit sends me every time. First of all, it's such a good way for the movie to kind of hammer home the paranoia of the time period and like the fear that everyone, including school children, is living with during the height of the Cold War. My dad, who was like born in the 60s, so like after this movie is set, anytime he and I watched this movie together, he like made a point of being like, I remember doing this. Like this was a thing when I went to school, where they would just show us videos being like, the commies might bomb us at any time, and if so, get under your desk and maybe you'll survive. And it's like, that's terrifying. And kids today are not in a dissimilar situation with like school shooting drills and stuff. So it's like, the more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. But it's like, it's such an important piece of this movie to be like, yeah, these kids are all like sort of living under like constant fear of like a nuclear attack, and the whole community kind of shares that paranoia, which really makes it make a lot of sense why Hogarth is like, I have to protect this thing at all costs, because if people get a glimpse of him, they're just going to start shooting. Like he knows that so clearly because it's being taught to him in school every day.
Yeah. And he hears people talking about Earl's story about the monster that he saw, and like people debating, well, is it the Reds? Is it the Chinese? What is it? Aliens? What have you? So like that paranoia and fear is gripping the town. And I don't think necessarily that Brad Bird is commenting on the idyllic Norman Rockwell view of America, like in the same way that someone like David Lynch is.
Right.
I think he's portraying that view of America as like a thing to aspire to.
Yeah.
But what's undercutting it is the presence of of paranoia and mistrust between people and stuff like the military-industrial complex.
Yeah. Which we get pretty much around here. Kent Mansley enters the movie like basically around here.
Yeah.
There's the little duck and cover scene, and then after that, we do briefly get Dean buying the tractor.
Yeah, I did want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I did want to.
This is one of those other great old guys.
Yeah. Dude's like, well, it's got a large bite out of it. And the old guy goes, that's why I'm selling it. It's got a large bite out of it.
And it is like a cartoon bite, like from like a cookie out of this tractor.
Just the engine of the tractor's gone.
It's so fucking funny. One of those line deliveries that will just live in your head forever.
Yeah, I thought
is that
was
old guy being like,
hilarious.
"It's got a large bite out of it." But yeah,
I would like an extended version of this movie that's maybe 5 minutes longer, and everything that we see the giant has bitten off screen at some point.
Yeah, like the
I just
silo.
want a scene of that. Just give me a scene of him chomping on Mansley's car like a hamburger, and then setting it down gingerly and wandering back into the woods before Mansley finds it.
Yeah, just like a short film of just all the bites you missed. I love that this little scamp is just running around taking bites out of shit. It's very cute. He's hungry. He's a hungry boy.
He's very stealthy too.
It is very impressive how he can move around undetected.
He's like a T-Rex in a Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, right. Where it's like, so the ground shakes when you move, and yet somehow you are managing to sneak up on people.
Oh man, I did a Jurassic World marathon recently.
Yeah.
Marathon in quotes. I watched the first one like a few months ago, and then I watched Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, and then the new one. Like within a few days of each other, and boy oh boy, I am so glad. Like popping in the Iron Giant today, I was like, I'm so glad I don't have to watch a movie with fucking dinosaurs in it, man.
Little palate cleanser.
I
never have to look at Chris Pratt at all.
I never thought I'd be sick of dinosaurs.
Yeah. If they remade this today, Chris Pratt would probably be the voice of the Iron Giant, and he would just sound like himself.
Would just sound like Chris Pratt.
He'd be like, "I go, you stay." So in the scene with the tractor with the large bite out of it, Dean says, "Oh, well, you really are crazy. Like, who in the hell would the government send?" And this is when we cut to Kent Mansley arriving in Rockwell. He's at the power station. I do love this guy who's showing him the power station, this guy with like the big walrus mustache.
I feel like it's like Marv or something like that.
I think you're right. I think it is Marv. Yeah, so he's at the power station. He's like unconvinced that anything major's happening here. He's just like, these fucking small town bumpkins blew up their power station. This is a waste of my time. And then he like goes to get in his car, and it's one of the funniest moments of the movie where he's getting in his car muttering to himself, and he's like, "Oh, biggest thing in this town's probably the homecoming queen. Oh my God!" Because half of his car has just been bitten off.
I forgot how funny he was.
I
like as a character. I remembered him being more serious.
Yeah.
But he's fucking hilarious, and the voice performance is incredible.
Well, the thing that is so great about Kent Mansley as a villain is that he's sort of like, pathetic and unserious. Like he's a fucking loser, and General Rogard is always like, talking down to him, and he's trying to like prove himself, but he's bad at it, and like ultimately like his conflict in this movie is like he's trying to like outsmart a 9-year-old and failing, and it's like he's pathetic, but he's also so sinister. And it like the main thing that I got out of this character this time is it's like he's such a fucking bully, like not just with Hogarth but with everybody.
Well, I think a thing that Hogarth has to deal with in this movie is bullies. Is the guy at the diner who's picking on Earl.
Yep.
He's Hogarth himself is bullied
at school,
and the bullies express similar sentiments where it's like, I heard it was this, we should blow it to smithereens.
Yeah.
And it's like these guys are kind of all the same person.
And during the Cold War, America was sort of a bully on the world stage, and like so all of these characters, like the kids in his class and Kent and everyone, are they feel empowered to be bullies because like that's what the country is doing, it just feels like it's very like baked in to kind of Cold War politics. So Kent goes and gets Marv and is like, hold on, I think we actually have something here. And I love when he leaves the car and walks away, and then you just get the hand coming out of the trees to grab the car, and before it even grabs the car, we cut away. It's so funny. And he comes back and the car's gone, and so he's like, okay, actually I need to investigate this isn't just like small town bumpkins making a big deal over nothing. Like some shit's really going on here.
And then I think the next big thing here is Hogarth walking out in the woods with a piece of sheet metal looking for the giant to try to feed him.
Yeah.
And then the scene where he teaches him how to speak.
Yeah.
Which is great stuff. And we get Vin Diesel's voice performance makes its debut really here.
Yes. Yeah.
Rock tree.
I can't do it. Nobody can do it. It's Vin Diesel.
It's
with
Vin Diesel.
voice modulation.
They definitely pitched it down.
Yeah, and add some like metal scraping noises and stuff on it. I think his voice is so incredible. The whole effect, like Vin Diesel's performance is part of it, but also like the way that they modulate it and add effects over it. It sounds so singular and so cool. And it's so sweet that Hogarth immediately is like recognizes like, oh, it's like a child, and it needs someone to like help it,
and recognizes that the giant saw him save him
because he
throws down the switch,
the shut off switch. Yeah.
It's interesting because this is a type of scene that you see a lot in kids movies where the one character has to teach another character, you know, the whether it's an alien or what have you, or a creature or something, has to teach that other character something. So this scene should feel like cliched and like, you know, I've seen it a million times, but the writing and the presentation of it makes it feel so special and unique.
Yeah, this moment kind of feels singular in this movie, even though it is a type of moment that you see in a lot of kids' movies. I also think a big part of this scene working, and a huge part of like the movie working entirely, is another voice performance we haven't talked about yet, which is Eli Marienthal as Hogarth.
Yeah,
he was I don't know how old, but he was a kid when he was in this movie. And he is, this is the best child performance in anything, I think. And it's just a vocal performance, but still, it like, he has so much like depth, and the ways that his voice like squeaks and cracks sometimes just feels so like real, and this vocal performance endears him to you so much.
I think this is one of the best child vocal performances ever. I won't say child performance ever. This is one of the best, because you're right. It endears you to him so much, but it does it in a way that isn't artificial. It isn't like, oh, this is the thing that the kids movie does to try to get me to relate to or fall in love with the main character. You just like Hogarth.
Yeah.
And I think we probably relate to Hogarth as men who were once boys. And like,
he also looks like me when I was a kid. Like, he's got red hair and chipped front teeth and green eyes. Like, he looks like me as a kid.
We were kind of weird kids
yeah.
who liked comic books and movies.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe felt a little bit alone in the world.
Yeah, rode around on my bike, seeing what mischief I could get up to in my small town. Yeah, he's literally me.
Yeah. I think the best child voice performance I've ever heard, Hogarth is probably like top 5. I would have to think about the other 5. But I think the best is still Colin Dean as Greg in Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah, that is a great one.
Because that is like a 6-year-old kid playing a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he is so fucking funny in that show.
Yeah. But this vocal performance feels very like, it feels like a kindred spirit with that one.
Yeah.
I feel like they're kind of operating on the same level, right? Which is, like a kid being a kid, but also a kid who is allowed to be a kid in a story that treats childhood seriously and doesn't pander to its child audience, right? It kind of like both Over the Garden Wall and The Iron Giant treat childhood as a phase of life that is multifaceted and complicated.
Yeah.
Right? And that kids are capable of very like serious depth of understanding and contemplation and stuff.
Yeah, and I think the direction of the performances too, like they're being directed to capitalize on what makes them unique and interesting as individual kids, as people, to be themselves and not, the classic stereotype of like the kid doing the performance and turning at the camera and smiling, and the parents looking overhead giving them the thumbs up. Like these are kids who were allowed to be themselves in the vocal booth. I think.
Yeah, and it feels so real.
Yeah,
that's the thing I love so much about Eli Marienthal's performance as Hogarth is he feels so real. It just feels like this is just a kid.
Yeah,
and it really comes out in this scene when he's teaching the giant to talk. The giant starts following him home. Hogarth's basically this is where he's like he does the whole like what are we gonna do with you thing, and it's intercut with Kent talking to the mayor and stuff. But eventually he's basically like, I don't have a solution for this. I gotta go home, otherwise my mom's gonna wig out.
Yeah.
I love the giant learning what wig out means too. Don't do that. That's the kind of stuff that makes him shoot at you.
Yeah, waving his hands wildly. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's great. But yeah, so the giant's following him home, and he's like, you gotta stay in the forest. And then so they get to the train tracks, and then the giant just starts eating the train tracks. And then the trains come in, and he's got to put them back together. He gets hit by the train. I do love that, like, the giant, like, kind of slams the tracks back down where they were lifted up. And Hogarth's like, that's good enough. And the giant is, like, being a perfectionist about it.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's such a great detail to the scene, and, like, gives you a great sense of the giant's character while we're still learning about him. It's just the precise detail with which he has to make sure that the train tracks are lined up.
Yeah. It shows that like he's more intelligent than like his language capacity is capable of communicating.
He's thoughtful and caring.
Yeah, and he likes things to be right.
Mm-hmm.
It also struck me for the first time on this most recent viewing of the signature edition that at the end when the atomic bomb is overhead and everyone's scared, what the giant says is, I fix. And he doesn't say that here with the train tracks, but it still feels like kind of a mirrored moment, right? Where it's like what he wants to do is like fix it, to save other life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that scene's already mirrored with the repetition of the line, you stay, I go, no following.
Right, which is also this scene. Yeah.
You cried during this movie. I'm just going to assume that.
I certainly did, David.
I'm going to guess like 5 times.
Okay, yeah. 5 is the guess?
Yeah.
Alrighty. We'll hit them when they happen, and you'll see what it ends up being.
Yeah.
Did you cry during this movie?
Yes. You don't have to guess. I'll just tell you what happened.
Okay.
There was a specific scene that hit, and then for the remainder of the film, I won't say that I was crying, full on sobbing.
Yeah.
But a tear would find its way down my cheek every so often.
Yeah.
So I was just sort of like in a particular emotional state from that scene towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. The back like quarter of this movie will do that to you. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I cried a shit ton of times. We haven't hit any of them yet. But
did you cry both times watching this movie?
So last night when I watched it first, is the cry count I'm going to use.
Okay.
Those are the ones I'm going to call out. When I watched it this morning, I cried one time, and it was one of the same spots.
Okay.
So I did cry both times, but one of the times I cried multiple times. The second time, watching the movie the second time in 14 hours, it only got one cry out of me. But pretty impressive that it can even do that. Like,
yeah.
It's, or maybe I'm just a sucker. It's probably a combination.
Baby movie for babies.
Yeah, I'm a big baby. So then the train hits him, and this sets up the thing where he can repair himself, right? Because he loses his arms get knocked off, his jaw's unhinged, and all that, and but he's okay, and his parts start like coming back to him to reassemble. And Hogarth is like, all right, like, you can follow me home. I changed my mind. He puts him in the barn as he's, like, getting himself put back together. And, like, Hogarth goes inside to eat dinner with his mom. I also like Kent here comes to the scene of the train accident. Like, he's in the mayor's office, and like the some lady at the mayor's office gets a call about the train accident, and she says like, "What do you mean you hit a giant creature?" And immediately Kent springs into action and is like, "Oh shit, like stuff's going down, I gotta be there." And because his car has just been eaten, one of my favorite jokes in this movie is he turns to the mayor and just goes, "I need your car." And then we cut to him peeling out in the mayor's like sports car, and the mayor being like, "Wait." It really makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
But he shows up at the train accident, and there's another couple of just world-class wrinkly old animated dudes who were driving this train, and like one of them's got a bandage around his head. And they're both just like, "Yeah, man, I don't know, it was like a giant robot from outer space." I like that the guy who says like it was a giant metal man looks embarrassed after he says it, where he's like, "I don't fucking know what to tell you, dude." But yeah, so then Kent's like, "I need to use a phone," and they point him to the Hughes house, right? So then like we have Hogarth and Annie eating dinner, and this scene's so fucking funny. I don't want to go through it beat by beat, but it's very funny when he's doing the prayer.
The
and
prayer
the hand is causing mischief.
Fucking so funny. Also, great improv skills for this kid.
And stop the devil. It's so funny. I also love that the hand is just like, for whatever reason, like the giant's like left hand or whichever one this is just dead set on causing mischief. Like instead of like following the homing beacon and reattaching, he's like, "Nah, I just want to see what this shit's about." He's like fucking with the pot on the stove and shit. And then yeah, so then Hogarth like tries to cause a distraction to get the hand out of the house. He like knocks over the spice rack and shit. And he's like about to go out the front door.
Yeah.
And he just opens the door and Kent's there, and he does the "Kent Mansley, I work for the government," and he just slams the door in his face. Great joke. "Hey there, Scout." Oh, another difference here between the
okay.
Yeah, between the theatrical and the signature edition. It's the tiniest thing, and I don't know why they changed it. But when the hand is watching TV in the Hughes house, in the theatrical cut, it's a commercial for something called Mapo, which I don't know if it's a real or made up like cereal or something. And there's like the little baby in the commercial says, "I want my Mapo." For whatever reason, they changed it to a Tomorrowland commercial in the signature edition.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, that change is bad. I don't like it.
Well, because Brad Bird directed Tomorrowland,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe the signature edition was
right.
like part of the promotion for that.
Maybe, yeah, probably.
That's dumb.
I don't like it. It's like a 50s Tomorrowland commercial, but it's still like, meh.
Well, especially especially because this is a Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah,
And it's not a Disney movie.
right.
But I guess the signature edition must have been done under the. I guess Disney must have
I don't know.
bought it or something from them. I don't know.
I have no idea. But yeah, I don't like that change. It's annoying and bad. It is the only bad thing about the signature edition. Like, I think the theatrical cut again is the definitive version, but like the only bad thing about the signature edition is that change, and it's really minor.
Okay.
But yeah, so then Ken comes in to use the phone. We have the phone call with General Rogard that we referenced earlier. I love when we cut to General Rogard when he's on the phone with Kent, because he's like, Kent calls him at home, which he's like really pissed about, and we see General Rogard's house, and his window is like looking out on the Capitol building. It seems to be like next door to Congress, and then he's got a giant mounted bison head behind him.
This guy lives in an insane house.
And he's got a glass of whiskey. He's in an armchair. He's watching an old Western on TV. This guy is living the fucking life. General Rogard rules.
I think it's unfortunate that this movie is like the military-industrial complex sucks, but General Rogard is kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is sort of a confusing thing in this movie where like we're the message is sort of like the U.S. military is bad and reactionary, especially like, you know, Cold War era. Like that was like a real problem. But also, like, the guy in charge is kind of rad as fuck.
And maybe it's just because I'm like 32 and I'm sort of like, I think Rogard would be a good hang.
Yeah. He does seem like you want to get a beer with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot a few rounds of pool. I want to go bowling with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite jokes in this movie is when Mansley ends the phone call, drives off, and he has Hogarth's rifle in the car.
Before that, when he hangs up the phone and it
Oh,
falls off the receiver, and he puts it back and it falls off again,
Yeah.
and he just freaks the fuck out.
Yeah. That's
and then he
good.
has to like smooth his hair and be like, "Thank you for the use of your phone." Sorry, and then
he's in the car and he found Hogarth's rifle at some point up by the power station. And he looks at it and Hogarth's name is carved into the butt of the rifle stock, but it's been cut off. So he goes, Hogarth Hughes.
slams
Drives
on the
back
brakes.
around.
Yeah, I love that moment too.
Yeah.
Hug. And then he comes back to the house, and Hogarth opens the door, and Kent takes a breath to speak, and Hogarth goes, "Kent Mansley, you work for the government."
I wasn't gonna say that. Yeah,
It's so good.
that Ken Mansley. Give me a. Can this guy just show up in more movies?
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't have to be, like, they don't have to be related. I just want Kent Mansley to show up
yeah.
in some other movie.
He kind of does feel like a side character from like the X-Files, where like Mulder and Scully would have like this other agent that they sometimes interact with who's kind of a piece of shit. Like, I feel like he would like slot really well into that universe, you know? Yeah, I would watch a Kent Mansley spinoff. Just watch this guy be like a huge piece of shit.
Yeah.
Semi-competent government agent getting into all kinds of shit.
They could do a short film before, like, a Pixar movie or something.
Yeah.
A Day in the Life of Kent Mansley.
Yeah, because that's the thing about him. Like, you love to watch this guy suck. You know, he's just, he's such a good villain because he's so charismatic and so fun to watch, even though he's like the literal worst. And yeah, so then the hand is causing problems in the upstairs bathroom, and Hogarth like runs up there and acts like he is using the bathroom, and he's like grunting a bunch, trying to push the hand out the window. There's a great moment where the score punctuates the fingers on the side of the house with a little piano thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And he's like grunting and groaning, trying to push this thing out the window. And Kent does the, this is why it's really important to really chew your food. And Annie Hughes looks at him with like disgust and revulsion, which is great.
Also, he's perving on Annie Hughes throughout this movie.
Oh yeah, when she opens the door and he's like bent down to talk to Hogarth, and then like she opens the door and he's at tit level, he's like humana humana humana, and then he's like, wait, never mind, I have to like be professional. Yeah, no, he's slimy and gross and skeevy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, also like I can't blame him for being enamored with Annie Hughes, but like, chill out, dude.
Yeah, not as slimy and gross as the hentai artist drawing 9 pages of Annie Hughes porn.
I feel like Kent Mansley might have done that. If Kent Mansley was a real guy, he would be using like an AI girlfriend generator to make videos of Annie Hughes.
Oh, definitely.
He'd
definitely
be feeding
an
her
AI
Facebook
girlfriend
pictures into some algorithm to make her do TikTok dances or whatever the fuck weird virgins are doing nowadays.
Yeah.
It's also funny when they open the bathroom. They finally open the bathroom door, and Hogarth has just taken his pants down and is just sitting on the toilet like he was shitting the whole time. And then Annie Hughes closes Kent's face in the door.
The next thing here is the scene with him reading Superman comics and showing him.
Yes, this is a beautiful little moment.
Superman.
Yes, and I like that. When he's interested in the Atomo comic, and there's something I'm not gonna wax on about it too long because I don't really know how to put this feeling into words, but there's just always something to me about the fact that like the Atomo comic looks more like him,
Mm-hmm.
and Hogarth is like, yeah, but he's bad, and you're not bad, like you're Superman, right? And the Iron Giant seems to like gravitate to the Atomo comic because he recognizes himself, right?
Right.
I don't know. I guess in some ways it's as simple as it's what's on the inside that counts, sort of thing. Message in a children's movie that is pretty, well established, but like it feels deeper than that somehow. I don't know. It kind of feels like the body that you're born into doesn't like predetermine the type of person that you get to be. And like there's a part of this movie I did put this on my masculinity as a prison letterbox list, because there is a part of me that has always, even from when I was a kid, read this movie as sort of a rejection of traditional masculinity in a way. I think it's not an accident that the villain of this movie's last name is Mansley, and that he's the biggest, tallest, broadest chested guy in the movie. And I also
with an insane chin.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, his T levels must be off the charts with this bone structure. But it's like I don't think it's an accident, right? That he's Mansley. And I also don't think that it's an accident that the giant is explicitly built as a killing machine and chooses to not be that, right? There's something in that to me. And this scene feels like a very crucial kind of piece of that thematic track that I identify in this movie. Is like, just because you're built like a Tomo doesn't mean you have to do violence, And as a man, as someone who is born into a masculine body, that's always really resonated with me. And I in one of my Letterboxd reviews, I said, like, I might have joined the military if it hadn't been for this movie. And, like, I think that's really true. Because, like...
Well, I was going to ask about that, because do you feel like, on reflection, that's true? Or can you point to a moment in your life where that was true?
I think I can, because in high school, when I was getting close to graduating high school, a lot of my friends were joining the military. And to be clear, I don't think that there's anything inherently morally wrong with joining the military. I think a lot of people, including my friends in high school, do it sort of out of necessity, because it's an easy way to earn a living, especially when you don't come from money.
And military recruiters prey on that.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes people make decisions that they haven't thought through thoroughly and regret spending time in the service. And other times people think through the decision very carefully and don't regret it and look back on that time in their lives as a positive, right? And I don't want to like discount anybody's experience, but like I know it wouldn't have been right for me, and I'm glad I didn't do it. And a lot of my friends in high school were taking that route. I had friends joining the Navy, I had friends joining the Marines and the Army. And for a while I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And this seems like an easy answer to that. I don't think it was as specific as I had a moment where I thought about the Iron Giant saying, I am not a gun, and decided not to enlist. But I do think that around that time, I was thinking about the type of person that I wanted to be. And ultimately, I was sort of like, I want to do good and be kind, and I don't want to do harm. And I think one of the things that made me aspire to that kind of life was specifically this movie. Like, I kind of think that, like, this movie made it cool to me as like a 9, 10, 11-year-old who then would grow into that high schooler who decided not to enlist. I kind of think that this movie made it cool to be a pacifist and to decide not to fight and to kill, even if it seems like you have a good reason to. Because towards the end of the movie, when the giant is being attacked by the military, until he thinks Hogarth is dead, he's being shot at and he's not fighting back. you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie made me realize that like that was an option, you know? I feel like this movie kind of made me realize like if someone hits you, you don't have to hit them back, and there is honor in not hitting them back. And I feel like I'm about to cry talking about the Iron Giant. But it's like it gave me a new it sort of gave me a new idea of what it meant to be a man. That I feel like if I didn't have that, there's a world in which I was in the infantry. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily know if the version of me that joined the infantry is a bad person. Probably not, right? But I'm glad I didn't. Like, I'm glad I went to college because I got so much out of that experience and so many good things that happened to me in my life, like my relationship with the arts and meeting my wife and meeting a lot of friends like you, right? Like, that stuff happened to me because I chose to be like, no, yeah, I'm going to go pursue bettering myself by learning stuff rather than by putting a gun in my hand, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have something that I want to bring to this scene
Yes.
that is less personal.
Please do.
There's a metatextual element to this that I was thinking about with Hogarth showing him Superman. As someone who has learned a little bit more about Superman in recent months and watched all the Superman movies and ones that I hadn't seen and watched some behind the scenes stuff, Superman is such an interesting pop culture reference in this film, especially because this film was dealing with, on some level, masculinity and father figures. And Superman is presented in the popular consciousness, or lives in the popular consciousness, as the ideal all-American man who is kind, who is caring, who sticks up for other people, who saves people. And in the 40s and 50s was co-opted as a tool for propaganda to fight the Nazis, to fight the commies. And so many pop culture icons for men and boys have, problematic elements to them. James Bond, presented as the ideal man,
right,
also is a rampant misogynist.
Yes.
And
an alcoholic.
Yeah. And Superman, who should be the most pure of our heroes for young boys, was not immune to the problematic issues of toxic masculinity and nationalism.
Yeah.
Especially at this time.
Yeah.
And I just found that a really interesting level to this movie. I don't think this movie is making any sort of commentary about that.
Yeah.
But it's like, what does a boy like Hogarth have to look up to? And he has Superman comics, and like even Superman comics are not immune to the trappings of traditional masculinity and gender roles.
Right. Yeah. It's also just another scene that I think is about having a little brother. Hogarth showing him his comics.
Yeah.
You know, it feels so much like we both have little brothers.
Yeah.
To me, I always feel that way in that scene where I'm just like, this feels so much like what it's like to be an older brother, and to be like, hey, like, I'm really excited to show you all my cool comics, and like these ones are really awesome. This one kind of sucks, you know? Like,
yeah, there was this sort of made me think of something that happened when I was a kid, where I started learning to play guitar, and I probably showed my brother a few of the riffs that I learned to play, and I left out my guitar tabs from my teacher. And I came in my room one day and just saw my brother learning to play guitar from guitar tabs, where he just figured out, like, oh, okay, so these are the 6 strings and these are the frets and this is how you have to play it. And I can't even remember what he was playing, but I was just like, I was so taken aback by that and like surprised at how that had rubbed off on him. And I kind of felt that watching this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lovely scene. It's beautiful. And so after this, so the giant's hungry, his tummy rumbling.
Yeah.
And they go out to find him some food. They go out into the woods, and Hogarth tells the giant to pick him up.
Hogarth is doing a really good job keeping his balance on this giant. He should be falling off multiple times.
There's one shot where after the billboard thing happens, the giant leans forward and Hogarth is on his shoulder and he slides forward and he looks so nonchalant and I'm like, motherfucker, you are about to fall 50 feet to your death. But he's just kind of like, it's fine. He really trusts this giant.
Yeah, or the times when the giant's carrying him and protecting him at the end, when like the giant gets shot out of the sky and like careens into the ground. I'm like, that is a kid trapped in a metal box. That boy should be a hamburger.
That being said, kids' bodies are resilient, like you'd be surprised what a 9-year-old can endure. So he puts out his hand, picks up Hogarth, and the score swells as the giant is carrying him through the forest at night. And that is the first time I'm crying in this movie.
Okay.
There is specifically a like wide shot of the giant above the trees holding Hogarth in his hand, and like it's so far away that you can barely even see Hogarth. And the music is swelling beautifully, and it's Hogarth is doing like the woohoo, right? And it's just such a pure, beautiful moment of a kid and his monster that feels so much like Miyazaki shit to me. And it just presses that button where it's like, cry now for me. And they see Rockwell and the giant wants to go there, but he can't yet. One of my favorite little moments in this movie is the giant being disappointed that he can't go into town.
Right, and he like kind of like he hunches over and turns away.
Yeah.
From that and there's that wide shot of the town.
Yeah, and then while he's walking away, he pauses to look back.
Yeah.
Because he wants to go there so bad because he loves Hogarth and he wants to meet more people, And I love Hogarth saying, we can't go there yet. They're not ready for you.
Yeah.
Which is like so sad. It's so sad. But so then they find the car on the side of the road, and he's gonna eat it. But then they see the headlights, and he has to blend in with the billboard and look like he's holding a big cheeseburger, which is very funny. And we see Dean get the car and take it to the scrapyard, and so then they follow him to the scrapyard, which is basically an all-you-can-eat buffet if you eat metal. The gag where the car alarm keeps going off, and he's trying to turn it off, is very funny.
It is, and then he just chucks it. It crashes somewhere in the distance.
It's so funny that like he tries like sitting on it and it doesn't work, and then he punches it a bunch and it doesn't work, and eventually he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking throw this thing.
Yeet. Do kids still say yeet?
I don't know if the kids are saying yeet. Yeet might be out. I would like Yeet to still be in because I think Yeet is funny.
Yeet had a good run.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway.
R.I.P. Yeet. Dean wakes up and comes outside with a crowbar and is like, hey, like, is someone stealing from my scrapyard? And then he sees that it's Hogarth. And I love, in the signature edition, you get the scene at the diner where Annie kind of confides in Dean about how Hogarth is troubled, which maybe makes his willingness to just let this kid into his house at like fucking 4 a.m. or whatever, it make more sense. But I love in the theatrical version where you don't have that scene, and he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, man, you want to hang out?
Yeah.
Also in the scene, Dean is wearing a red bathrobe with a huge yin-yang symbol on the back of it. Coolest shit of all time. And his like matching slippers. This dude rocks.
That was a little creepy to me. That was maybe like, I don't know if I would let this kid hang out with this dude at the scrapyard this late in that outfit.
Yeah, it is
specifically the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang is a little much.
I feel like the connotations of a yin yang bathrobe in 2025 are different than in the 1950s. I feel like in the 1950s, like he's on the cutting edge of culture, right? This is just a really cool guy. Now a white guy in a yin yang bathrobe, maybe someone you don't want to leave a kid around.
Right. He's an artist. He makes sculptures out of scrap metal.
Yes. Am I a junk man who sells art or an artist who sells junk? You tell me.
It's funny that he is like a tortured tortured artist
I love
figure.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love how much this movie allows Dean to be an artist. Like there's a lot of it in the movie of like you see his sculptures, you hear him talking about it a decent amount for such a short movie. And I just love that that's so present in this movie. It also made me wonder if like, because anytime there's an artist character in art, I always am like, how much of this is the creator commenting on themselves or commenting on artists they know or whatever. And I always wonder if Dean's a little bit of a Brad Bird guy in this movie. Because I know that this character is not from the Ted Hughes original story. Like he's original to this movie. But yeah, so I just always wonder what the artist who created the thing is saying when they put an artist in something.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, he's a beatnik. I guess Brad Bird was born in 1957 when this movie is set.
Yeah.
So he probably grew up, in the wake of Bob Dylan and Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac and stuff like that. And their art.
And so maybe Dean is more like artists that influenced him more than he's him.
Yeah.
But yeah. I like when they drink espresso. That's funny.
and Hogarth's hyperactive. And,
yes.
Yeah.
You need stimulation. I'm stimulated enough right now. That's for sure.
I love how much Dean just lets this kid wander into his life and completely inconvenience him, and he's just pretty chill about it.
I think there's two things going on. I think Dean is simultaneously a very genuine, good-natured soul who actually cares about this kid who seems lonely and maybe a little troubled and kind of wants to give him a good role model and be a friend to him. I also think Dean is keenly aware that this kid's mom is a fucking smoking hot redhead.
Right, he has to get in good with the kid, but then he can bang the mom.
Yes, I kind of think that that's what's going on here.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah, I love that. I love their whole little scene here. Then they start hearing stuff from outside. Dean runs outside and sees the giant. He's trying to protect Hogarth because it's a giant robot. And I love the moment where the giant picks up Dean and Hogarth's like, "No, don't squash him. We like him." And the giant going, "Dean," is great.
The little smile that the giant does,
yes,
is so cute.
It's so cute. The first time he really gives you the smile is when he's repairing himself in the barn, and Hogarth is like, "Oh, you can fix yourself? That's so neat." And it cuts to the giant, and he's just like, just gives him a little grin. It's so sweet. The way that they animate his eyes, where the way he blinks, where sometimes his shutters on his eyes rotate 360 and then blink. It's so fucking cool. And the way that his eyes partially close to show emotion and stuff. It's really masterful shit. It's so good.
Yeah, and then when they turn red when he's in attack mode, it immediately tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
The way the eyes focus.
Yeah, and
like a camera shutter almost.
And he gets so much colder and more sinister when that happens, even though the only change is his eyes.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
Different change of subject real quick. Is the Iron Giant kind of Dougie Jones?
Yes. For anyone who doesn't know who Dougie Jones is, that's a Twin Peaks The Return reference. Yeah, right, kind of, right? Because he just kind of shows up in an idyllic David Lynch-esque Americana and is like, I don't really know how to behave, and I have to be taught how to do
he's just sort of
things.
shepherded from place to place. He's kind of bumbling.
Yeah.
He repeats what other people say to him.
He makes everything better for everyone whose life he enters, right? Initially people are sort of like, this guy's inconveniencing me, and then they're actually like, no, he actually is my favorite person. Yeah. He does kind of if Dean is the Mitchum brothers, I think the Iron Giant is Dougie Jones, where initially he's like, whoa, hold on. And then he's like, I actually love this guy.
Hogarth give 2 rides.
Yeah. And now I'm just thinking of the Iron Giant eating a really big slice of cherry pie.
It would have to be like a scrap metal cherry pie.
Yeah. Drinking a mug of motor oil like it's coffee.
Like the crust is a big sheet of scrap metal, and then the filling of the cherry pie is like gears or something.
They're rusty, so they're
like
red.
like rusty things that they get like in the scrapyard. Yeah.
Dougie Jones. I will say he seems to be significantly more intimidating than Dougie Jones, though. Like, nobody's looking at Dougie Jones and being like, "I got to watch out for this guy."
I don't know, but Dougie Jones taking out Ike the Spike is kind of similar to the Iron Giant activating his weapons at the end of the movie.
When Dougie Jones goes Ultra Instinct. Yeah. Listen to our Twin Peaks The Return episode coming to Patreon sometime soon, maybe.
And maybe not even Patreon. We haven't figured it out yet. I guess we're announcing it now.
We recorded an episode on Twin Peaks The Return. We have no definitive plans on when we're releasing it. We just recorded it because we wanted to talk about it. So, look out for that whenever we choose to release it.
Maybe I'll try to work that out this week and figure that out.
So after the Giant meets Dean, there's like the whole thing with Hogarth kind of explaining everything about. He's like, yeah, he's like a little kid. He doesn't really remember where he's from. And then he's like, he's like, he needs food and shelter to Dean. And Dean's reaction is to stand up, pour out his coffee mug, go inside and slam the door. And then there's like the card on screen that says 37 minutes later.
It's very funny.
Yeah. But eventually Hogarth talks Dean into letting the Giant stay. I like that Dean just gives up because he's too tired. And then Hogarth goes back home. I like him like sneaking in through the window, and he's like finally gonna get into bed. He's pulled an all-nighter, like the sun's up, and he's like just about to get into bed, and his mom opens the door and she's like, "Oh, you're up already?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just making the bed."
He's pulling the covers back to crawl in, and then his mom opens the door and he just puts them back where they are. Very funny.
They kind of animate his face in that moment too, where he kind of looks like an old man. Like he's got like bags under his eyes, and like his face gets a little wrinkly because he's so tired.
Then he goes downstairs and finds out that Mansley has moved into the room for rent.
This fucking guy.
And Hogarth looks like he wants to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And then we get the montage of Mansley living there.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
Where you going, slugger? Champ, sport? Where you going? Yeah. Just this dude just fucking annoying the shit out of this child.
And this kid's stonewalling him.
Hogarth stands up really well to like CIA interrogation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a while for him to get anything out of it.
They could learn something from this kid.
Yeah.
Surviving torture.
Yeah. Also, Mansley's like also just bad at his job.
Yeah.
He's a bad government agent. But I like that little montage. I like when he's on the phone with Dean, and Dean's like, "You got to get over here and do something about this giant robot kid." And he's like, "There's this weird guy fucking following me around, man. I don't know what you want me to do." But so then Hogarth's like, "Yeah, like I'm gonna go out," and his mom's like, "Well, you should take Mr. Mansley with you." So he takes him to the malt shop or whatever. And he's like showing him like, "Oh, you crumble up the chocolate bar over your ice cream," and it's like a fucking laxative. Which I had to have that joke explained to me when I was watching this as a kid, because the wrapper just says Cocoa Lax, and I didn't know what like that meant.
Right.
They're eating the ice cream, and Mansley is spouting like basically all this like government propaganda,
right,
about Sputnik and how the Soviets are watching us all the time. They have something that we don't have that's dangerous, and kind of like trying to make a one-to-one comparison between like Sputnik and the Giant, right? And Hogarth keeps stonewalling him, and he like blows up at him, and I think you could just yell at another person's child in public in the 50s.
Just yelling at this kid in a fucking malt shop.
Yeah.
Without repercussions at all.
There's just other adults around, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that guy's yelling at a kid. That's fine. It's the 50s. We're all yelling at each other's kids." You could hit a kid that wasn't yours in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
But there is a moment where like that really stuck out to me where Mansley kind of pokes him after he backs him up against the wall, and Hogarth like flinches and his face looks like it hurt. And that's a thing that I also kind of really respect about this movie, is that like Mansley is like he's an adult man terrorizing a child in a way that the movie doesn't really sugarcoat a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, he full on
He chloroforms
kidnaps
him
and
later.
chloroforms. he drugs this child.
Yeah. But this little moment kind of sets the stage for that, because
Yeah.
it's like, no, he's like, this guy is being like kind of harsh and brutal with this kid. And it's not just verbal. Like he's like entering his bubble, you know, and like pushing him and shit. And it's like, it makes him so much more sinister and evil. And also as a kid watching the movie, I feel like it helps you sort of understand the stakes too, when like you're empathizing with the kid character and you're thinking about like, what if a strange man was like poking me in the chest? You know, it just feels like it's like a level, it feels a little bit more visceral than a lot of like adult kid interactions in kids movies, you know, when it's like kids versus adults. Usually it doesn't get this like intense, I think.
Yeah. Well, and here there's the dialogue, like the nationalistic dialogue, and one of the things he says is like, I don't care who made it, we didn't, and that's reason enough to blow it to smithereens.
Yeah.
And that echoes some of the dialogue that the bullies say earlier.
Yep.
And what it really demonstrates is like this movie in general is about fearing what you don't understand.
Yeah.
But also using that to demonstrate that like that's kind of a tactic of American foreign policy and defense.
Xenophobia is one of the pillars upon which this nation is built, my man. Yeah.
It's like it's wild to see that in a kids movie.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah. I love that that's in here. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's also great when his tummy rumbles and he has to go take a big shit.
Yeah, it's funny when he has to go poo-poo.
And Hogarth just runs out. And then we get the search-in montage. I love this needle drop. Because it's like we're cutting between Mansley like interviewing people about the giant, like trying to get any information about it,
and he eventually finds Hogarth's camera.
Yes. The montage I love just because it's like you'll see Mansley like talking to a guy with a big bite out of a grain silo, and then like wordlessly like you'll see him like asking for a bathroom, and then the guy pointing to like a disgusting outhouse, and then he's like walking in the woods by the power station looking for clues, and he has to like stop behind a bush. And you see him like zip up his pants after getting out of a bush.
Yeah, not enough shitting jokes. I needed more Mansley shitting too.
Yeah, I would have liked more, but to me I think there's just enough, because it's the cap on it is like he finds the camera and then he's developing the pictures, and Annie comes home and she's like, Mr. Mansley, I got that toilet paper you needed. Because he's just been shitting his guts out all day. Man, ice cream and laxatives. That's gotta fucking destroy you, dude.
Yeah, man.
Before the search-in montage, we get the little brief scene where the giant is eating scrap in the scrapyard, but then he starts eating Dean's sculptures.
Right.
And Dean's like, there's scrap and there's art. If you gotta eat one of them, eat the scrap. What you currently have in your mouth is art!
And then I like the giant daintily trying to put it back. And again, it's like it shows, I love that aspect to his animation about how he's so precise.
And gentle,
with trying to fix things,
Yeah. And Dean's impressed, and so he starts having him make like big metal sculptures. Like he's having him make like a mobile of cars when Hogarth shows up, and he's like, oh, you're having him do arts and crafts. Like what I have in mind's a little more dignified, which is like being a ride at the county fair, basically. Because he picks him up in the car and spins him around, which is very fun. And then they go to the lake. I like Dean being enticed into coming. It's just kind of a sweet moment where you see that Hogarth and Dean are bonding too, where Hogarth's like, come on, like come with us, and Dean's like, yeah, all right, I'll hang out with this kid and this giant robot. It does seem pretty cool. The scene at the lake is very fun when the giant does a cannonball and Dean gets swept away in a huge tidal wave. and lands in the middle of the road, and then the guy in the pig truck yells at him.
Yeah, that was funny. The guy's like, "Hey, you're in the middle of the road."
Yeah.
And Dean says, he just says something back, and then he's like,
All right.
and just keeps driving.
I also like the animated faces on the pigs in the back of the truck. They just look goofy as hell, and I really appreciate it.
I like that that Dean is still in the chair during the flood, and then lands.
He's got
perfectly.
a death grip on the chair.
Yeah.
I even noticed that they include the detail of his ankles are wrapped around the legs of the chair to keep him in it, which is like a very fun detail. But I I also love in this scene because it ties into all of like the Cold War paranoia in this movie, that the headline on the newspaper that Dean is reading at the lake says "Disaster Seen as Catastrophe Looms." Which is like such like an over the top parody of like a Cold War panic headline. And it's perfect. I love it. Every time I see that headline, I'm always like, it's like chef's kiss satire. It's so good.
Yeah. I think the next big thing here is the deer scene.
Yeah.
Where they find the deer in the woods.
Yes.
And then it runs off and it's shot by hunters.
Yes. The moment where they see the deer before it gets shot, and they get closer, and the giant puts out his hand to the deer, and the deer very gently comes up and like touches its nose to his finger. Is my second cry of the movie. I started crying before the deer got shot, just at the beauty of the moment of the giant interacting with nature, right? And then the deer gets shot, and I'm not counting this as separate cries because I just continued crying. Basically from the deer interacting with the giant all the way through Souls Don't Die, I'm weeping.
So I started crying on Souls Don't Die.
Yeah.
Or it's actually it was it's bad to kill, but it's not bad to die.
Yeah.
That got me crying, and then it was just like, oh, I'm just gonna sort of feel like this for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And will occasionally have tears rolling down from my eyes.
It's bad to kill, but it's not bad to die is in some ways, I think, one of the most groundbreaking and transgressive lines in this children's movie.
It's an insane thing to put in a children's movie and to not sugarcoat.
Yeah.
Like it is like it is not like so many other movies that try to deal with death in children's films. They'll do like, oh, they're gone or they're not here anymore. It's like to specifically reference death and killing in this movie multiple times is really brave.
And I like that when they talk about a soul, it's kind of like Hogarth says, like, this is the thing my mom told me. And when you think about the pictures of his dad in the house, it's like his mom probably told him that because his dad had recently died.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like the talk about souls is never like a thing where it's like overly tied to like a religious ideology or any kind of like specific philosophy. It's just sort of the kind of like hopefulness that children have, but also that adults have about death too, right? And it always feels reverent and uncynical in a way that I think I've never really seen in another children's movie. Yeah, you know, because it's like the whole like they're in a better place, we'll see them someday thing is a thing that sometimes you see in children's properties that deal with death. And it feels more real and true as like a wish in this movie than like a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, I believe in a soul, but I understand that is like blind faith, right? And like objectively, I have no reason to believe that based on like evidence, you know? And so it's like, I feel like this movie is sort of honest about that perspective on it. Being like, it's, you know, we hope that souls don't die, right? That it's something inside of all good things that goes on forever. But like, even if that's not true, like death is part of life, which is a thing that like Hogarth, the 9-year-old character in this movie, says, right? Because he's teaching the giant about death and he says it's part of life, you know? And it just feels so mature and honest in a way that a lot of like stuff for kids that deals with this material does not.
I think there is a spirituality element to this film that I think is rooted in Christianity because these characters are Christian.
Right,
like,
sure.
Like the prayer felt so specific to me. It's still rooted in Christianity.
Right, you can tell he's been brought up.
He's been brought up this way,
Yeah.
and like it's something that helped him process his father's death, you can kind of assume.
Yeah.
And the imagery of this scene is like they're lying down at the scrapyard and it's nighttime. There's a big star in the background that almost looks like the Star of Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Which obviously has that Christian connotation to it, but I think it's just special and looks different. And they're looking up when they're talking about souls, and it feels like a spirituality that maybe transcends just Christianity.
Yeah, I agree. And the end of this scene with them looking up at the stars is where there is another scene in the signature edition that's not in the theatrical, which is the giant's dream. So it's like the Tonight Show's on and Dean has fallen asleep in his chair in front of it, and the giant starts dreaming, and his dream is projected onto the TV.
Yeah.
Which I think is really fucking rad.
Yeah, that's how it was storyboarded, for sure.
Yeah, but so he dreams about... First, he's dreaming about the deer, and then he's dreaming about Hogarth saving him at the power station. And there's like some lines from earlier in the movie that are kind of being repeated in his head. And then he rehears Hogarth saying, "You came from the sky, right? From up there." And that's where we see some flashbacks from the giant, where we see a city, an alien city, with all these buildings that look like crazy and like definitely like they weren't made by humans, getting like sky lasered with those big green energy beams that he shoots later. And then we see like armies of iron giants marching and destroying a planet, basically. And then we see the giant look into a pool of water and see his own reflection in the form that he takes later in the movie when like the dome goes over his head and he has all like the crazy like lasers and guns and everything. And the sequence ends with he starts charging the like big energy ball in his chest, and Dean wakes up and sees it on the TV. And then the last image of the dream is like he sees like a solar system of planets, and the planets are like exploding with those like green energy beams. And then like Dean sees that and looks out the window and sees that the giant is having a nightmare. And then the giant wakes up and the TV goes back to normal. And you see Dean put together that that was happening because of the giant, right? So I don't think the theatrical version needs that scene. I think it is really interesting that it contains it because it sets up sort of Dean's reaction to the giant in the scene that's coming up with Hogarth with the gun, right? Where as soon as Dean sees the giant shoot the lasers out of its eyes, he is immediately like, I know exactly what this is because I've already seen this, you know?
I think it works without it,
It
honestly.
works without it.
But what I'll say is the storyboarded version that's on the DVD that I watched is like 80% of what you described.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was really important for Brad Bird. I'll have to watch it later, but I'm glad
It's a cool scene.
I'm glad that it exists in a finished form.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we needed any backstory about the giant. I think we can obviously assume that it's very easily implied from watching the movie. But it's nice that it exists and it was considered in the process of making the film.
It's a pretty rad little scene. Yeah, so then Hogarth comes back home, and this is the scene that we already sort of alluded to, where Kent Mansley like fully like CIA interrogates this child. He like does the bright light thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kid does fold quickly. We did say he was pretty resilient.
I mean, they do threaten to take him away from his mom, which I feel like if you're a 9-year-old kid, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know?
low blow.
Yeah, especially having already lost a parent. Like, it's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna lose both parents? Like, no, you're gonna give up the big robot, you know? So yeah, he tells him where it is, and then he chloroforms him. I like that for a second, the movie is like, maybe he just dreamed this, and then it's like, no, Kent Mansley chloroformed that child.
Yeah.
Like, you hear him on the phone with the general in the next scene, and you're like, no, yeah, that all actually happened. This guy's a piece of shit who tortured a child. And then there's the great scene where Kent and him have the standoff in the doorway. Just gonna see who's gonna fall asleep first. Because Kent's basically like, the army's gonna be here in the morning. I'm just gonna watch you and make sure you don't get up to any shit. And then like Hogarth pretends to go to sleep, and Kent is like, all right, I beat him. And then he dozes off. And then Hogarth in the morning like walks past him in the hallway and is like, hey, morning, Kent.
They faked him out with classic fake out with the helmet.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, helmet in the bed. And the blanket's just stuffed with pillows thing.
Yeah.
And so then they go to the McCoppin scrapyard, Dean's scrapyard, because like Hogarth told him the giant was there. But Hogarth has had time to like prepare. So when they show up, the giant is just dressed up like he's one of Dean's metal sculptures.
Yeah. And the general flips out. And I love this line of, "You just blew millions of dollars out of Uncle Sam's butt."
Yeah, and he's like basically firing Mansley on the spot, because he's like, you fucking I mobilized like a whole infantry unit to get out here and deal with this, and it's like just some guy's art project. Like, you're gonna be clearing out your office as soon as we get back to Washington. And so like the threat has been dealt with, and we're back to like fun time with the
playing
giant
again, and Hogarth is pretending that he's a Tomo or whatever.
Yeah, he's pretending that the giant is a Tomo.
Yeah,
that he's fighting a Tomo.
Yeah,
and then the giant's like, "No, Tomo, I Superman." He takes the S from the seafood sign. But then he sees the gun, and it's the thing where
the toy laser gun.
He reacts defensively to the gun. He shoots his laser eyes at Hogarth, and Dean freaks out. And Dean says to the giant here, or he's talking to Hogarth. He says, "It's a big weapon. Or it's a weapon. It's a big gun that walks." And the amount that hurts the giant is the way that they are able to show through the giant's like character movement and Vin Diesel's vocal performance, how much that harms him to be called a gun. It's so heartbreaking, and I'm crying for the third time in this movie when he says, "I not gun."
Okay.
And then he runs away, and he's walking through the snow, and he leaves behind the Superman S in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
It's I was crying again.
Well, I love the how intense it is when he changes to attack mode.
Yeah.
And it's how quickly his eyes narrow and they go red, and we get his vision, like Terminator vision, of him aiming at Hogarth and him charging up a weapon. It's edited so quickly, and it's so intense and scary.
Yeah, he goes from friendly to threatening so fast. Yeah. But so then Dean realizes that the only reason that the giant reacted that way is because of the toy gun. So he decides to like help Hogarth catch up to the giant and get him back. Goes after them. They go after him on the motorcycle. And then the giant is like heading toward Rockwell when these kids with their binoculars see him.
Yeah.
And the railing breaks and they fall off the roof.
Yeah, I thought they were the bullies from Hogarth's class, but I don't think so. I couldn't tell.
They might be some of Hogarth's classmates. I'm not sure.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But so they're like gonna fall, and he rescues them. And I love the little moment where after he rescues them, the giant is just like standing in front of all of these amazed people in the street. And their reaction is like, he just saved those boys. Like, they're not threatened by him right away because like they just saw him do this heroic thing. And it seems like things are actually gonna go okay.
Yeah, it's really optimistic.
Yeah.
And like it's and the way he sets them down and the reaction that they all have, it's like it's not what you expected, and it seems like Brad Bird has a lot of faith for the average person's ability to recognize, appreciate, and do good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's immediately tarnished by the military attacking.
that's the thing that I love so much about the scene is like the people of Rockwell were like ready to embrace the giant. They were like, oh, he just saved those kids. Like, this is a scary metal giant, but he seems friendly, right? And then it's the military that comes in and starts shit, right? Because Mansley sees Hogarth and Dean going the other direction on the motorcycle and turns around to look at where they're going and sees the giant. And it's very funny when he rear ends the Humvee in front of him and then gets rear ended and his car gets sandwiched. And he goes, the giant, it's attacking, it's stomping the town, and the giant is literally just standing there. He's not doing shit.
He's just hanging out.
He's literally just chilling. But yeah, so then all the military dudes turn around and start attacking him. And like we said before, he doesn't fight back initially. He takes Hogarth and starts running, right? But he like anytime he sees one of the guns, it happens with one of the planes when he's flying, his eyes start to change and he starts to go into attack mode and he stops himself.
I like that. Yeah, he starts resisting it.
Yeah.
There's another thing here where Dean pulls up on his bike in front of Mansley and tells him that the giant will only attack if he's provoked with weapons, and that he has Hogarth with him. And then Mansley lies to the general that the kid is dead to mobilize the jet fighters.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Because like, and that decision from Kent always sticks out to me because the conflict in the movie has been between Mansley and Hogarth, right? And I always see the like him telling the general that the kid is dead is kind of like Kent Mansley being like, fuck you, I win. I'm going to get this kid killed. Like, I do think it kind of, I think it's that dark.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think it is like, I sort of remember watching this as a kid and at some point having the feeling that I liked the stuff when the giant turns into a weapon, when he activates his weapons. Because I was a kid and I like robots and guns and explosions and stuff like that.
And to be clear, it is still cool as shit when that happens.
It's really cool. It's really awesome stuff. I remember liking that at some point, but I also remember at another point watching the end of this movie being genuinely hurt and shaken watching the military attack in this movie and then watching the Iron Giant activate his weapons and going on a rampage. And it's one of those things where like every time you watch it, you hope that things go differently.
Yeah.
The same way that maybe, you know, every time I watch season 1 of Game of Thrones, I'm like, oh, Sean Bean's going to make it through this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember at some point flip-flopping as a kid.
Yeah.
And watching it again now as an adult, I still feel that way. It is scary and horrifying and difficult, this whole ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the movie is showing its audience a lot of like trust and respect in allowing itself to go this far, cuz it's like it's like heavy shit for a kids movie. it's even heavy shit when you're a grown-up watching this movie. In some ways it's heavier shit as a grown-up. You know? Because we, you know, as a grown-up you're more aware of the constant looming threat of nuclear annihilation, which this ending is very much sort of in conversation with.
Yeah.
And yeah. So like they run off. The military's going after them. You see like guys go into the president's office and brief him. You see like jet fighters take off. Like it's like a full on.
I think they use CGI for the jets too.
And they look really cool.
Those look really good. Yeah.
All the shots where like the jets are going overhead and Annie and Dean are like looking up at them, as and knowing that those jets are like going after like her kid. It's like so. It's the stakes are so high and it's so good. But then they get to like the edge of this cliff and the giant runs off and starts falling, and then like he has like thrusters on his back and feet and that activate, and he starts flying, And I am crying for the 4th time in this movie when Hogarth says, "You can fly," all excitedly. And then he says, "Try putting your arm out straight ahead like Superman." And the giant does it. And there is a beautiful moment before the jet fighters show up where they're just flying.
Yeah.
And I'm like sobbing. Yeah. That's number 4 so far.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 might have been too low, my man.
Oh, wow.
We'll see.
I was like, I think 5 is probably minimum. I
Yeah.
was like, it could be 3 felt too low, 4 felt a little bit too low.
I was surprised by how many times I cried at this movie. And I knew I was gonna cry a lot at this movie.
Yeah.
But so the jets attack them. The giant doesn't fight back, but then eventually the jets do shoot them down. And the giant kind of crashes with Hogarth in his hands, and Hogarth is like in the snow motionless. And the giant, like, it's such a beautiful moment where they mirror the thing that he does with the deer that Hogarth tells him not to do, which is like he's poking at the deer and like trying to lift it back up and make it be alive again. And Hogarth's like, "Don't do that, it's dead." And he does it once with Hogarth, and then he like backs off, and his reaction is heartbreaking, and I am crying for the 5th time. Because even it sounded like it was seconds apart, but there's actually like, I don't know, a minute or two.
Yeah.
So I'm counting them as separate.
Okay.
Yeah, when he thinks Hogarth's dead, that really did it to me.
It's so powerful.
There's the moment where he's just like, he doesn't know what to do with his hands.
Yeah, the moment where he's like confused and doesn't know what to do, and that he's like experiencing grief for the first time, and that transforms into anger, and he doesn't know how to handle it.
Yes, and then he turns into a giant alien killing machine, like, because he thinks Hogarth is dead, and then the next time he gets shot, it's just like his eyes immediately go red, the dome goes over his head, those 3 fucking cobra things come out of his back. The design of this shit is so fucking rad, and like really shows that this movie knew its target demo, because it's like, not only are we gonna like impart all these positive messages to young boys and like give them this really relatable main character to follow who's really likable and shit, but we're also gonna give 9-year-old boys the coolest fucking killer robot you've ever seen.
Well, it's really important that his transformation is so radically different than what we know him to be.
Yes. Yeah, he's like sharper and more angular.
Like as the weapons, as his body transforms and all these weapons come out, he looks completely different.
Yeah. One of the main things that happens that changes his appearance is his head goes down into his shoulders, so you can only see his eyes and not his mouth anymore, which was the most expressive part of him.
Yeah.
Right. And it's such a good design decision to just take the head away from you so that you can't see his emotion anymore, and yeah, he's got like a big cannon arm that blows a tank away. He's got the fucking crazy like claw energy beam that he shoots at a tank, and the tank gets like lifted up into the ball and then just vanishes from existence. He just like atomizes one of them.
Yeah.
I was wondering how many people the Iron Giant kills in this scene, because a lot of the time you see guys get out of the tanks and run away before the tanks explode, but not always.
I think he has a little bit of blood on his hands.
Yeah, he kills some of these dudes. They were asking for it.
I'm
though.
okay
They
with
shot
it.
him first.
When he turns into a giant killer robot and goes after them, as much as I am like emotionally moved by it and hurt to see this character go down this path, I'm also like, yeah, sort of get it.
It's also awesome, yeah. And I get it. Yeah. They killed his friend.
Yeah.
I also like the one that like is like a little turntable with the little needles that make little lasers. That shit's rad as hell. I've never seen anything like that in another movie. It's like such a unique design.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he just like blows the shit out of a million tanks.
Yeah. So Hogarth gets back up because he's unconscious, or Dean and Annie rouse him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then he runs to the center of town and stops in front of him as the giant has his gun raised at him and says, "You don't have to be a gun."
Yes. It's bad to kill. Guns kill.
Yeah. Heavy shit in this movie again. Like wide shot of you see the giant, the giant's full body, and his gun is pointed at this small child.
Yeah.
Really, really striking imagery.
Yeah, dude.
Is this when he's charging up the like electric nuke at the battle and aiming it at the battleship? And
The big chest ball thing?
Yeah,
When Hogarth comes in and yells to get his attention, he moves his torso and it misses the battleship because Hogarth distracted him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the huge electric nuke explosion happens on the horizon. I love that visual. It's so cool.
I do too, and it is like also disturbing and scary.
Yeah.
Like, it is pretty powerful stuff.
The sound design of that explosion is also so cool. It's awesome.
Recently we watched Shin Godzilla in theaters together.
Yeah.
And the atomic breath in that movie is changed pretty drastically from its other depictions, where it's explicitly linked to imagery of the atomic bomb, of nuclear bombs. And I think just being reminded of that power, that destructive power that humans have created, it works there, and it even worked for me in the baby movie for babies.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that gets General Rogard convinced to like train the nuke on the giant. There's the moment where Hogarth tells him to choose. You don't have to be a gun. And the giant comes back, and I love that the dent that was in the giant's head that was causing him to not remember that he's like an alien weapon, basically, pops back out when he goes weapon mode. And in spite of that, in spite of the fact that he like probably has all his memories now and knows what he is, he chooses to come back because of his friendship with this kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a beautiful and profound message. He like what he had with Hogarth was like more real. It was like more his identity than anything that came before, you know? So then like he's back to normal, and they go back to like the center of town because Hogarth's basically like, hey, like don't shoot him. He's friendly again.
Mm-hmm.
And the general sees that the kid is alive and realizes that Mansley lied to him. And Mansley is like just freaking out because the thing that I don't think I noticed as much before these last two viewings is that the thing that happens right before Mansley tells them to launch the nuke, like grabs the walkie-talkie and tells the sub to do it, is Mansley makes eye contact with the robot, and the giant like narrows his eyes and looks pissed off at Mansley. And that never stuck out to me as much as it did these last couple times, because I don't think I was ever as honed in on Mansley as a depiction of like a toxic man.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's like the giant looking pissed off at him that is the last thing, that the straw that breaks the camel's back before he does it, is so telling, right? Where it's like, for him, it's like, I can't let this fucking guy win. You know,
right.
I have to be the biggest man.
Right.
You know, and then, yeah, immediately the general's just like, you stupid fucking bitch. I'm gonna nuke a fucking coastal town in Maine.
Yeah.
Because you're fucking in a dick measuring contest with a giant robot. Like, fuck off.
And then the shots of these people in town square looking up at this nuke overhead, just being like, so I guess we're just gonna get nuked and we're gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
Holy shit! What a chilling image for this. I mean, for this kids movie. I think this is just like this is maybe the moment where, for me, the themes of this movie and how brave this script is and how brave this movie was to depict its themes without any sort of sugarcoating, without making it all nice and pretty for the kids, treating it with maturity and gravity and seriousness, really came together is the depiction of the launch.
Yeah.
And the nuke flying overhead.
Yeah.
Even with it, offset slightly with the "Where's the giant, Mansley?" joke.
Yeah.
It's great. And then the giant is like,
he knows
you stay, I go. No following.
Yeah.
and he goes to fight the nuke, and I'm crying right now.
Yeah.
What was the part that made you cry twice?
I just realized that I missed one of my cries earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Because when the giant saves the kids from falling and Hogarth meets him again in town, the thing that the giant says to Hogarth there is, "I am not a gun."
Yeah.
And that made me cry. So I missed one. So I'm at 6 now.
Okay.
And when I started crying when, in that moment you were talking about where all the people in Rockwell kind of come out of the buildings and see the trail of the missile going up into the sky. I started crying there, and then I just kept crying through the end of the movie. And both times I was crying. I started a little earlier the first time, but the second time I was definitely crying by the time that the giant said, "I go, you stay,
Yeah.
no following." Fuck, dude.
I mean, like, who among us? I think that's
Yeah.
the one that's gonna get you. And then Superman.
Yeah. And Hogarth says, "I love you" to him, which is like, it's one of the most powerful moments of any movie to me.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta tell the bros that you love them.
Yeah, man. I love you, dude.
You're all right, I guess.
Yeah.
You're okay sometimes.
It's fine. I'm literally crying right now.
Fine, I'll just do it. I love you, man.
Thank you.
I love you, bro.
Thank you. You got to tell the homies you love
gotta
them.
do it. Okay.
Yeah, he's Superman, man.
He's fucking Superman. Because they repeat the line, "You are who you choose to be." And I love that he thinks about it and he goes, "Superman," smiles, closes his eyes, and hits the nuke.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was crying the first time I watched this all the way through to the end after this. Like even when we cut forward and there's the statue in the park and Hogarth is wrestling with his friends from school who now like him because he's the cool kid who found the giant robot.
Yeah.
And
You think he's still playing that card like into his teens?
Oh, definitely.
Where he's like
Hogarth
on a date with a girl and
Yeah.
he's like,
Hogarth uses getting laid for the first time because he's the robot kid, for sure. He's like, that kid in the robot's hand in the statue in the park, that's me.
Yeah, that was me. I could introduce you to my other Iron Giant.
Dean's introducing Annie to his Iron Giant at the end of this movie.
maybe
we
there's
see that they're in a relationship.
Maybe there's a porn of that somewhere. I'll have to look that up later. Just for research. I'm not. Yeah.
Not while there's tears freshly in my eyes, David. Don't be Rule 34ing me when I'm crying. Yeah. And the General Rogard sent the one screw from the giant's jaw, which is the only piece that was recovered.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to Hogarth in his room at night, and the screw's next to him on the nightstand. And then there's a thump, and he wakes up, and the screw's not there, and it's at the window tapping to get out. And he lets it out and says, "See you later." And we see the screw rolling. And then we cut to a glacier in Iceland where his head has landed and all of his body parts are coming back to the homing beacon. And I don't mind that this movie undoes killing the giant. It doesn't make the emotion of it hit any less for me.
I was thinking about that, and no, I don't think so. I think you have to give the kids a little bit of hope.
Yeah, man. When you're 9 years old, the giant has to be alive at the end of this movie.
Yeah, and I love the long build up, that long shot through the glacier, and it's
you see like the 1 foot hopping,
right? I like it. I like that it builds up to it as you see more and more body parts, and it doesn't rush to the ending. It makes you the movie earns the giant coming back.
It does, yeah.
You know, I think it's good. It's good fucking shit, man.
Me too. And like the stakes of the ending aren't undone because it's like, yeah, he might never see Hogarth again, right? Like it's they might never be cross paths again, but it's like you can't at the same time you can't kill E.T., you know? Like he's the E.T. of this movie, and like children are going to be destroyed if that giant gets nuked and that's it.
Yeah.
You know? And I would have been destroyed. Today, as a 32-year-old man.
You were destroyed anyway. This
I
movie
was.
already destroyed you.
I was, man. And And in the credits, it is credited to for Susan. There's a dedication, and that's Brad Bird's sister, and I think that's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the Iron Giant.
Hell of a fucking movie, dude.
Yeah, man.
Hell of a movie.
It is a hell of a movie, but we need to know, is this hell of a movie the greatest movie ever made, David?
Right, that's why we're here after all.
Yeah.
So here's the fucked up thing. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to kill you.
And my reason for saying no is I think I need to watch this again.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm going to run home and put it in again. I think I need to marinate on this a little bit. And I've seen it before. I was familiar with it. But it had been a while, and the movie was kind of trucking along for the first 30 minutes. And I was liking this. I like this. This is fun. This is fine. I know things are going to get emotional at the end. I think I wasn't prepared for how much this movie moved me at the ending, but the second half, basically. And the things that I was thinking about while watching it and the things that we talked about. And I think I just got to sit with it.
Yeah.
And think about it for a little while longer, and then spin it another time before I could fully say yes.
Okay.
I think this is one of those that is if I were to put a star rating to this, it's like a 4.5, and it's a 4.5 that I really wish was a 5, but for whatever reason, there's just like a half star that I can't quite give to it yet because I need to sit with it for a while.
Okay.
But obviously, it's a fucking excellent movie, and has earned its place as one of the greatest animated films of all time. Definitely one of the greatest of its era. I was blown away by how amazing this thing still looks, how well animated it is, how great the voice performances are across the board in this fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. And Mehmet Walsh is like a low-key MVP voice performance in this movie. He's the guy from the fishing boat, Earl, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he's hilarious in this movie.
Yeah. Great movie.
Yeah. That is a respectable take. I rescind my death threat.
Thank you.
I think you needing more time with it is a reason for saying no that I can stomach.
I'm glad that you are choosing to not be a gun.
Yes.
Justus is the Iron Giant, the greatest movie ever made.
David, yes, the Iron Giant is the greatest movie ever made. That's the least climactic verdict in the history of the show, is me saying yes to this movie.
I was going to ask, is there one that you think has been the easiest yes that you've ever given? And is this one of them?
This is probably one of the easiest yeses because I knew this was going to be a yes before I rewatched it. I was like, there is no universe in which I'm going to watch this movie again, and suddenly it's going to be a no. It's like, this movie made me the man I am today, and also I remembered every single fucking second of this thing before I watched it yesterday. This is maybe the easiest yes I've ever given on this show. Other ones would be our very first episode, Texas Chainsaw 2, I knew was a yes going in. We did
sort of plan it that way.
We picked a yes as our first episode. Other shit that was just I was just floored by, Inland Empire was a very easy yes. But at least in Inland Empire, because I'd never seen it before, I had to kind of think about why it was a yes. This is just my soul says yes to this movie. Every fiber of my being knows that this is the greatest movie ever made, because what that means to me was formed by this movie. I truly think I keep trying to steer away from hyperbole by making it personal. I think this is one of the most influential pieces of art on me personally, like I've already said, ever, out of anything. I also think that it's one of the most singular and powerful and perfectly put together children's entertainment things that exists. I also think you can appreciate this at any age. I think this is a perfect movie. You probably are not quite there. But
no, I mean, what I'll say is again, for me, what's a perfect movie is more of an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's kind of holding me back from giving this a yes is that I don't quite have the personal connection to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I need that for every movie that I give a yes. But for this one, and for especially like a lot of the children's animated movies or movies that I remember growing up, that I'm coming back to for the first time in a while, that personal connection really helps.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing that was missing for me on this watch. But I mean, like,
yeah,
it's still a great fucking movie.
And I'm not going to pretend that like a big part of my verdict and my overall feelings on this movie are not connected to nostalgia. They very much are. But I think I'm okay with that in this instance, because every time I go back to this thing, the nostalgia feels earned. Every time I rewatch this, it's not like nostalgia that I have for something like Willow, where I rewatch it and I'm like, I thought this was the shit as a kid, and it's pretty good, you know? But I recognize flaws when I go back to it. Lady Hawk was like that. Willow was like that. Even The Prince of Egypt was like that. This movie, every time I go back to it, I'm like, it feels the same. It feels like I'm 9 again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Thank you, Brad Bird. If I ever met Brad Bird, I would give him a firm handshake.
Thank you, Brad Bird, for dangling Tom Cruise out of the Burj Khalifa.
That too, yeah.
And I guess we're making this baby movie for babies.
But it's okay, because I'm a baby while I'm watching it. And I'm crying like a baby because I'm crying seven times watching this
That has
movie.
to be your record, right?
It is. I think it's definitely, I think it's number 1 with a bullet. I think the runner-up is Last Jedi with 4. Both of those very recent. Like, am I good?
I thought you maybe had another 4 or 5
I might have
in there
another
somewhere.
4. Lady Hawk, I cried a bunch. I might have cried 4 times at Lady Hawk. But yeah, it's the greatest movie ever made. That's the Iron Giant.
That's the Iron Giant. Hey, thanks for listening, all of you beautiful people out there in the world. We appreciate your support. Please give us a review, leave us a comment, check us out on Instagram and TikTok if you're into the tickin' and the talkin'.
Yup.
This has been the conclusion of the second TGMEM-iversary.
Yes.
Celebrating 100 episodes.
That's right.
Next week, I decided this one, we're going to be watching The Fall, directed by Tarsem Singh. This is a film that I watched in college and I have not seen since then. And my friend was like, hey, you should watch The Fall. I was like, you know what? I have seen it. I should rewatch it. So I decided that we're going to do it for the podcast.
I've never even heard of this movie. I don't know what this movie is. So I'm going into this one completely blind, which is a lot of fun.
This is a fantasy film starring Lee Pace.
I love Lee Pace.
And I remember it being great. And I am really excited to go back and watch it again, especially because it has been hard to find for many years and recently has been restored and is more widely available.
Cool.
So we're going to watch that next week.
I almost said, welcome back to the show, Lee Pace, and then I realized that I was thinking of Dan Stevens, because they are both really, really handsome guys who have been in a lot of indie horror movies. So, you know, that's why I almost made that mix-up. Lee Pace, though, quite tall.
He's so tall.
Dan Stevens, I think, more average height.
Yeah.
But just both big old hotties. So we'll be talking about big old hottie Lee Pace next week.
Yeah.
With The Fall.
Join us then. And in the meantime, like I said, you know, do all that shit that I said.
Yeah, do the social.
You stay, we go. No following, but we'll see you in a week.
Yep.
And as always,
later, dipshits.
I'm glad that we both had the same idea.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Greatest Movie Ever Made. Please remember to leave us a rating and a review, and to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We appreciate you supporting the show and spreading the word. Tell your friends to listen, tell your enemies to listen, tell your mom to listen. If your neighbor has an unsecured Bluetooth speaker, connect to it and play an episode. You can follow us on social media at TGMEM_podcast. And if you've got a movie that you want us to talk about, send us an email at thegreatestmoviepodcast@gmail.com.